Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order, and welcome to HPANWO TV, and welcome to this, the 69th of my reply to comments video series. This is the video in which, as the title suggests, I reply to your comments. Now, the reason I make these videos is because I feel obliged to reply to your comments. I get an awful lot of comments from people because I'm a popular channel, of course, and seeing as you guys take the time to give me your feedback, and sometimes you put very long comments with a lot of thought and feeling behind them. Sometimes you just tell me you really enjoy what I do and appreciate what I do. And either way, I feel obliged to reply to you in appreciation. Thing is, I don't have time to reply to all your comments by text because I'm getting too many comments these days. So I make these comments reply videos instead every so often. Now you might think to yourself, hang on a minute, this video's 9 hours long. I only want to reply to one comment. I'm not going to sit around watching an entire bloody 9-hour video while I wait for you to reply to just one little comment I make. Well, guess what? You don't have to, for two reasons. Firstly, whenever I reply to a comment, I put a little piece of text in as a reply to the comment I'm replying to. And it says this: thanks for your comment, it will be answered approximately within the, and I say first, second, third or fourth, fifth, sixth, etc. hour of the upcoming comments reply video. So basically I tell you when within the video to the nearest hour I'm going to be replying to your comments. Second reason you don't have to watch the entire 9-hour videos, because my comments reply videos are getting much shorter because I do them more often. I used to do them every 2 months sometimes. Now I do them every 3 to 4 weeks. So now you don't have to. It won't be 9 hours long, so you don't have to. Another reason I do these comments reply videos is I enjoy doing them. It's just simply fun. It's just good fun, and you know what? You guys, my viewers, you enjoyed them too. So some of you, I know a lot of you watched them all the way through. Even if some of you watched them when you haven't even made a comment. So that's the purpose of this video. That's why I'm doing this video. So we'll go straight to the first comment I received since the last comments reply video. It's on reply to comment 68, the last comments reply video. It is David Splendid Isolation. Hey David, how you doing? And he simply says, "Nice one." Thanks, David. Much appreciated. Then on what's this? Oh, we got a thread. We got a thread on reply to comment 68, and it's Gary Robinson. Hey, Gary. Gary Robinson says, "Hey Ben, I'm glad you find my comments interesting and useful in regards to Paul McCartney and the music business in general. Feel free to share the info I post on here with anyone who might find it useful. Pride and dignity, brother." Gary, I actually shared it with Anne and Marianne, Anne Walsh and Marianne Howard, who are the authors of the book Shadow of a Bassman, and they appreciate very much me sharing that with you. David Splendid Nation says underneath, they've done vocal print analysis of Paul pre-66 to post-66, and guess what? Crafty Nice says underneath to David, what? David, same voice. Actually, David, if you look at the Digilanda Libero site, you'll find actually it's not the same voice. And Gary says underneath here, very interesting. Could you point me to this? Being a music producer, I spend a lot of time looking at audio in different frequency analyzers, etc. I've suggested to a few people in recent years that I'd be happy to analyze supposed supernatural audio recordings to see what difference there is between the sound of people recording the audio and the parts they claim are ghost-related, if that makes sense. I've always thought it would be interesting to see if there's any differences between two such as dynamic, transients, etc., stereo with bizarre frequency content. All right, yeah, David, by all means, get to see this evidence. I mean, I've seen evidence of voice print analysis that says otherwise. But yeah, let's see that. As for Gary, perhaps I should contact you about the strange thing that happened on Third Rail Radio a few weeks ago. I can't remember what the show was now, but it was like about a couple of shows before Christmas. Trevor and I did get a bit of EVP on there, which I've always keen to get people's feedback on that, especially if you're experts in this field. Yeah, so that's an interesting thread. Thank you very much. Reply to comment 68, we have Wayne RS4, who says here, it's quite a long comment. Hi Ben, as someone who used to be a bodybuilder and ex-steroids user, I did have to laugh at your comments about fake muscle, as those who don't understand the science behind steroids always get it wrong. You see, steroids do not give you fake muscle, they help the body recover faster from a workout, which in turn allows you to train more often, which again, in turn helps you build muscle faster than someone who doesn't use steroids. But to build muscle, you must lift weight and eat the correct diet. You can't just take steroids and sit on your ass thinking you would build fake muscle. I wasn't going to say anything, and rather than you be annoyed, you made me smile, as I know a lot of others think exactly the same thing as you. So I just thought I'd put the record straight that steroids do not give you fake muscle. All right. Oh, well, so be it, Wayne. Cool. He says, anyway, Merry Christmas, fella, and Happy New Year. Wishing you all the best. You too, Wayne. Hope you had a nice one. Well, thanks for the information. Lauren Thomas says underneath, do they really cause shrinkage of certain body parts? Yeah, I've heard that too, yeah. Dark corners. Beat me to Lauren, beat me to it. Wayne says, no, sadly, it's just all bullshit rumours with those with no knowledge assume to be is true. All right. Well, despite that, Wayne, I won't risk it myself. Reply to comment 68, Roadhog 60. Can I be in reply to comment 69? Yeah, sure, Roadhog. I mean, you've just done it. All you have to do is leave a comment and you're in it. And Woody Black says, thanks for your comment. It will be answered at approximately hour 17 of the upcoming comments reply video. Oh my goodness. The one I did last time was about 3.5, wasn't it? I mean, this one might be. I don't know how long this one's going to be. I'm not even going to try to time it, but Michael Snow says to Roadhog, you automatically are. Yeah, you are automatically. I don't know how long this one's going to be. Right, we have now a thread, and it's reply to comment 68. Gary Robinson says, in regards to Indiana Jones 5, they are filming a new ending in a couple of weeks, and it's assumed this is because of the outage over the current woke outrage over the current woke ending, in which Indy dies and is replaced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Oh God! All right, see, apparently they CGI her into the intro of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Oh no! In which she obtains the golden statue without setting off the boulder. Oh, fucking Philistines! She then gives it back to the Indians and tells the other characters to refer to them as native people. Cheers. Oh dear. Well, Gary, if they decided to completely shit can the entire ending and then film a new one, that's a sign that they are caving in. They are giving in to pressure, public pressure, as you said, outrage. I know a lot of people says, oh, they get woke and they don't go broke. Oh, woe is me. Well, you see, they're not magic, Gary. They're not magic workers, are they? I mean, no, you didn't say this, but some people say, oh, they got woke and they didn't go broke. Oh, they can do what they want. But in that case, some people attribute to the bad guys magical powers, literally. No. If they make films and people don't pay to watch them, they will go broke. Sure as 1 2 + 2 = 4. Simple laws of economics. Dark Corner says underneath, director James Mangold has come out and said categorically that there were never any plans to replace Indy with Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character at the end of the movie. Do we believe him? No, I wouldn't, Dark Corners. This is probably something embarrassing they're trying to write out of their own history. James Mangold. I almost said Marigold there. Yeah, Marigold. Do you remember Marigold? Marigold was the gay black guy who looked after, who was in Till Death Us Do Part. Do you remember? He was so funny. Oh, he's with Warren Mitchell. God, that was funny. Gary Robinson says to Dark Corners, he's covering his tracks. There were 5 different indie death endings reported by test screen attendees and also runners on the set who were not happy about what they saw. The movie also leads to a new show on Disney Plus featuring Phoebe Waller-Bridge as a result of Indy being killed off. Oh God. The problem is oh, I mean, it's not even. See, if they replace Indiana Jones with a woman, it's actually not only is that a travesty, it's now not original because since the character, in fact, she was originally a computer game character, but they have made a couple of movies with her in. Lara Croft is essentially a woman who's kind of an explorer, archaeologist who sort of raids tombs, which of course the series of computer games was called Tomb Raider. So yeah, so it wouldn't even be original, as well as being an absolute abomination. Gary continues, this is mentioned at the end of Indy 5 with a screen saying Helena will return. The outrage has forced them to do reshoots. I'm happy to let them lie about it, so long as woke doesn't win. Yeah, Gary, I think it's a case of with the Cuban Missile Crisis. You know, Kennedy knew the right thing to do. He removed the missiles from Turkey, so he could let the Russians back down by saving face, knowing that's the only way they would back down. I think this is a similar situation. Let's be strategic about it. Let them. They will be embarrassed in their own world. The fact is, they still lost. They still blinked and they lost. That's the main thing. Gary Robinson says underneath, P.S. Her Disney Plus show is already in production, so he's definitely talking BS. All right. I won't be watching that. The lights will low, says to Gary Robinson. Hi Gary, sorry for another follow-up on this, but I find your input really helpful. When I mentioned the 60s set, I referred to all other British and American stars of the time, particularly those close to the band, maybe Clapton, etc. I think it's talking about Beatles now, the Beatles. But those rubbing shoulders at parties, Michael Caine, Terence Stamp, David Bailey, etc., particularly the musicians jamming, as I guess they did, would they have surely not thought this is not the same guy, plastic surgery or not? Playing music with other talented professional musicians that are friends must be bloody hard to fake. Even more so if I'm led to believe Bill was born right-handed. Playing guitar to a level of Paul must take time, as must take in let alone sing like him. Was talking, let alone singing like him. Apparently the guy's from Scotland, again, another tough one to overcome. It is said Paul went to Africa for a few months, but it is full of holes. On that subject, lights, these are good questions, and the fact that there was that Leona Lewis or whatever it was calling him Bill on that strange interview. This was kind of almost off camera. She was just walking away as Bill was coming on. She's by Bill. It could be that there are a number of people who know and don't say. This is a kind of Epstein sort of thing. Open secret, was it? Tacit compliance. In the same way that they, very, very similar people in show business moving in similar circles, all knew about Jimmy Savile and didn't say anything. So it's a very similar situation in that respect. As for the left-hand, right-hand issues, you'd be surprised how easy it is to train yourself to become ambidextrous. That is, an ability to use your major or minor hand equally. It's actually not that difficult. And there are people who do it. And according Bill, I heard that Bill Shepherd actually came from Canada. He was a policeman in Canada. Was he from Scotland? I mean, he seems to be a man of mystery. Anyway, the original Bill Shepherd is gone. I mean, Sir William Shepherd. I suppose he must have left family behind who also know. That is William Shepherd's own family. But that does happen. For example, witness protection schemes and things like that, and spies who defect. Kim Philby, for example. It's a tough one. These are good questions. These are good questions. Lights continues. The picture suggested to be Fall on the White Album is Paul's passport photo. Where did I get that? According to the Digilanda Libero site, that's actually Shepherd's passport photo. That it was sneaked in when they were producing the album, and no one noticed until it was already out and about. And they realised that if they made a fuss to try and stop it now, it would generate even more publicity, so they decided to leave it in there. Like it says, John Lennon was too strong a character to be told to carry on, even with his love of money. John was devastated by the loss of Paul, and John had this. I think he may have been behind, along with this, of George as well, to go to see the Maharishi and try and channel Paul from the spirit world, in a similar way to Shirley Bolstock, what she did. I refer back to the biggest challenge with this. They could fake his music, possibly his looks, maybe his playing. The whole British establishment would need to be in on it, from the police at the crash, the ambulance driver, doctors, nurses, friends, musicians, actors, and everyone. I'm fairly sure if a friend and fellow musician of yours disappeared for a few months, then reappeared, you'll be more than sure. If it were hid by mannerisms, skills, speech and singing voice, etc., The 60s was a time of drugs, and a lot of it, I guess. Would that mean Clapton keeping his mouth shut, Keith Moon not getting loose-lipped, or Keith Richards mentioning any time? Even today, when he's nothing to lose, Charlie Watts seemed to say anything with no filter. A guy who said Bowie after death was no genius, but wrote a couple of good tunes. Sorry, rant over, Watts. Anyway, I'm probably send you to sleep on this. Ben is great as his stuff, but Fall is too weak. Cheers. Well, thanks, Lights. But I mean, these are interesting questions, and I don't have full answers to these right now. It is, but it could be. I mean, Nick Collestrom's book may be a good place to go. I mean, Nick and I have done several discussions about this, which were very interesting. I've done an entire video on this subject, at least one, I think. Gary says to Lights, those were all really good points, and like you said, it would be impossible to have all those people in on the hoax. At the same time, though, Mark Devlin's deep dive does bring up a lot of strange things, and like I say, there's no smoke without fire. At the same time, I'm simply not sure what to think. I guess a true tinfoil hat wearer would say all of the popular actors and bands of that time would be in on the hoax, and would be instructed to keep it a secret, but I think that's a step too far. Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, I'm a tinfoil hat wearer, but I think it would be a step too far. But the thing is, as we know from the Milgram experiments and the Zimbardo experiment, you don't need to just tell everyone to keep it quiet. They do it anyway. Someone would be bound to screw up, but saying that, I can't get over Mark Devlin's research that points to something being not right. Now, Mark's very good with things like this. Mark's been on the inside of the music industry, yeah. Then again, if Paul was Scottish, there's no way he could do Paul's voice so perfectly all those years. I think I've just taught myself out of the tinfoil hat crew. Paul, I gather, Fall was... sorry, he said Fall here. Fall was Canadian, I hear. I heard he was Canadian, not Scottish. David Splendid Isolation says on reply to comment 68. Ben, by using an ad blocker out of the millions of people using them won't make any measurable difference at all to them increasing any paywalls, so you might as well use an ad blocker, maybe make your life easier. Maybe, see, that's an interesting point, David, because that's what's known as role utilitarianism. It's like the person who, like, there's a sign, you walk in and there's a sign and there's a sign up, you're walking along a path one day and you want to take a shortcut across a lawn in a park, and there's a sign up saying please do not walk on the grass, and you say to yourself, alright, well, I'll just walk across there. One person walking across that lawn won't make any difference. Just one person. So you walk across there and think, that's it, it's just one person, won't make any difference. Second person comes along, sees the same sign, wants to walk across the lawn. Well, I'll just nip over there. One person walking on that lawn won't make any difference. And by the time this cycle has continued through a few hundred permutations, the lawn is ruined with all the people walking across it, thinking they're the only one who's going to do it. Therefore, this is the thing about role utilitarianism. It means that, despite what you say is probably true, I have to behave as if it's not. Do you see what I mean, David? It's a difficult dilemma. I know. Right, we got a thread, and it starts with Gary Robinson on reply to comment 68. The rings of power failed miserably, mate. Yeah, good. May it burn in. May it burn on the cutting room floor hell. They briefly admitted the second season needed to focus on Tolkien. Oh my God, God forbid they'd actually focus on the guy who created the whole franchise. This week they announced all-female woke director lineup for season 2, which includes at least one lady who helped to crash the CW channel by filling it with failed woke shows. Oh my goodness me! They can't keep their button off They cannot keep their finger off the self-destruct button, can they? They really can't. So Rings of Power, first season 1 failed so miserably. So what they're going to do? Just going to carry on. They're just going to take the same poison that killed the first series and expect a different result. Well, let them learn the hard way. Let it go down the toilet completely. And Neil Peel of the Paranormal Peep Show says, oh crikey, I suppose we'll end up with a female Gandalf-type wizard. Can't wait. Oh, God forbid. Neil, be quiet, don't give them ideas. Dark Corner says, not only all female directors, if rumours are to be believed, but I've heard that due to the failure of season 1, they're planning a complete ground-up reworking of the mythos, where many of Tolkien's characters will be replaced by female counterparts. Oh, God. Allegedly, many of the male actors from season 1 have already been given the old heave-ho in a vain attempt to cater to the left-leaning female empowerment demographic. Anyone else remember the early rumours about a female Gandalf? I've got a sneaking suspicion we might be seeing her in season 2. Oh, God. Her. Don't assume her gender, Dark Corners UK. He wouldn't. Nothing would surprise me now. It really wouldn't. Dark Corner, Sister Neil. Again. Funny you should say that. Female Gandalf was originally supposed to appear in season 1, but was scrapped early on due to fan backlash. No shit, Sherlock. You mean the fans actually complained? The problem is, it's a bit tricky though, because you see, Rings of Power doesn't have any fans, does it? Neil says to Dark Corners, I have a feeling this is going to get worse. I forced myself to watch the first series. I was not impressed. Oh, Neil, how could you? Why, Neil? What have you done to feel you have to punish yourself that way? But do you feel guilty? You got a guilty secret? I mean, you must do if you sat through that entire trash epic. Gary Robinson says to Dark Corners, I've also heard this, mate. The directors for season 2 are a nightmare bunch of woke fanatics. Gary Robinson says to Neil, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe they were not allowed to reference the movies in any way, including the characters. Not sure how they were sold such a deal. More money than sense. Yeah, I know they've had to leave out certain things. For example, the word hobbit has not been used. They call them half-feet, or something like that. And really, this is just glorified fan fiction. Despite Christopher Tolkien dying, these rainbow-striped vultures haven't been able to pick the Tolkien corpse completely clean. And indeed, this is going to be, at some point, they're just simply going to run out of money. They're simply going to run out of money. And at some point, the shareholders of Netflix are going to, or Disney, or whoever it is, are going to say, look, what's going on here? Why is my share worth half of what it was 5 years ago? What are you doing, you fools who are making these decisions? And they'll simply appoint a new board. Gary says to Dark Corners, Ian McKellen walked into me by mistake in Covent Garden many years ago. He apologised, a real gentleman. Oh, right. Well, maybe it wasn't by mistake, Gary. Maybe he liked the look of you, you know. Neil says to Gary, I had my suspicions that the stranger is probably a young Gandalf. They obviously mention Sauron as the rings are connected to him, plus the elven lady, Kate Thingy, in the original films. Okay, it's Kate Blanchett played Galadriel in the original films, in Jackson's magnificent adaptations. I mean, Jackson actually found Christopher Tolkien very difficult to work with. In the end, Christopher Tolkien, because Christopher Tolkien was a very dedicated guardian of his father's work, and there's no way, if he'd been alive, he'd have stood by and allowed Netflix to do this shit to his father's glorious creation, to trash it the way they have, to smear it and slur it the way they have. And he must be shouting from the spirit world, "You bastards! You bastards!" Well, don't worry, Christopher, you're not alone. We're the real fans of the franchise will keep the legacy safe, and we've got the books, we've got Jackson's adaptations. They can't take those away from us. Just focus. I think we've just got to focus on those now. For example, if you know someone who says the Lord of the Rings, what's that all about? Never read it, never seen it. This is how we get around all this. Rather than saying, "Oh, go watch it on Netflix," just give them a copy of the book. Give them the DVDs of Jackson's films. That's the way you get around it. Gary Robinson's sister Neil. I have to admit, mate, that I got bored after the third episode and didn't really form any opinions, but you might be right about him being a young Gandalf. Excuse me. I wonder how that would have worked out, because as far as I know, they were not allowed to make the show connect to the movies in any way, shape or form. Kumi Chater, who's a retired studio exec and YouTuber, did a great parody sketch on his channel making fun of this at Kumi Chater. All right, thanks, Gary. I don't know exactly how they did manage to use some of the names in the franchise. I mean, of course, elves and dwarfs are... There's no copyright on elves and dwarfs. They are figures from mythology. Things such as hobbits, though, are unique to that series. They're unique to that universe. I don't know about the names of characters. I think it's because I haven't watched it. I'm not sure. I mean, I saw the trailer. I listened to I listened to the crew dragging Tolkien's name through the dirt, and I thought, "There's no way I'm watching this shit. No way." Gary says to Neil, "I only think the stranger could be Gandalf because he learns to speak later and talks about the magic of wizards, etc. So that got me thinking a bit. By calling him the stranger, they can reveal who he is later on. I will check out that YouTuber. Our Paranormal Peep Show is a bit late this year, due to it being a bit longer with so many guests." All right, Neil, well, I'll look forward to that. Yeah, I mean, I was on the one before, I remember. Neil also says to Gary, although you say they can't connect it to the films in any way, they still have to mention things like the races of elvens, dwarfs, orcs, plus the ring, and the name Middle-earth. I suspect Peter Jackson did not want to be tied to this at all, hence what you're saying about the mentions. Peter Jackson must be horrified. I mean, knowing... When I looked at the love that he put into his work, the respect he had for the original books, I can't imagine he feels anything other than horror at this slurry that Netflix has put out. This horror comic book, this parody that they created. Gary says to Neil, yeah, I have to admit, I don't quite understand how they can do the show without connecting it to the movies in some way. Doesn't seem quite possible. Forgot to mention, enjoyed the last 2 PPS episodes. Oh, good, Gary. I'm glad you enjoy that, but didn't get the chance to comment. I love the story about the extra work. Had a maid who did some extra work a few years back. He ended up getting a speaking part in Downton Abbey, but was cut out, lol. Would be interesting to see what they do with the stranger if the show does indeed return. All right, okay. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you're a fan of Paranormal Peep Show, Gary. Right, Dave, reply to comment 68. David's Splendid Isolation. Ben, what ended the real Battle of Rorke's Drift in January 1879 wasn't that the Zulus let off the British garrison and respected fellow braves. It was because after fiercely fighting all the previous day through the night and into the next morning, after wave after wave of Zulu attacks, the British soldiers there, at just over 100 in number, although exhausted, were ready to keep fighting and holding the Zulu off. The Zulu at this time, numbering about 3,500 after the British had killed around 600 of them, were so exhausted they had finally turned tail and retreated, after which, an hour later, the British relief column arrived, better late than never. The film uses poetic license to make out the Zulu let them off, which absolutely didn't happen. The British kept on fighting and repelling the attacks by God's grace. As you know, more Victoria Crosses were awarded for this engagement than for any other in British military history. Alright, David, I didn't know that about the Victoria Crosses, but I do know that the film Zulu is not completely historically accurate. I know, for example, that the unit that was at the garrison at Rorke's Drift, who are Welsh, they're from a Welsh regiment. Either it's fictional or it wasn't the same. It was a different unit. It was actually there. Popcorn Boxing says underneath. 1964, even back then, it was a horrible propaganda film. Directed by an American blacklisted as a communist, nudity and violence, described as a Welsh regiment, but it was not the South Wales Borderers until 1881. Well, there you are, as I just said. There was a mixture of English, Welsh and Irish soldiers there. The commander is, of course, a stuck-up Englishman. There is also that interaction with the South African soldier in black. All right, what's his name? What's his name? The director? It's somebody. Zulu director. Enfield, right? Yeah, he was an American screenwriter and director. Now, was he? Thing is, you said he was blacklisted as a communist. The thing is, with the House Un-American Activities, the House Un-American Activities Committee, and Joseph McCarthy and people like that, they were basically cracking down on everyone claiming that they're communists. I mean, you didn't have to be a hardline Marxist in the 1950s to be labelled a communist. You just had to be anyone who wasn't a table-thumping redneck. The number of people blacklisted as communists were not... These were people who'd never been anywhere near the Communist Party of the United States. These were household names. There was people like Lionel Stander. There are people like Humphrey Bogart. People like Arthur Miller. I mean... so I don't really... When people say... if someone says, oh, this person was a communist, we know because in 1952 they had their... You know, and I think to myself, well, that's... Who wasn't in those days? Who wasn't? Now, I know that McCarthy has been vindicated to a certain extent. I've seen Stephen Molyneux's analysis of McCarthyism, but it doesn't excuse the way they treated so many people in those days. I mean, the only... I think it was only... it was only the black guy with the deep voice, the singer. What's his name? He was the only one who was actually in the Communist Party who was actually dragged up in front of that committee. What's his name? He was in Showboat. I hate when I can't think of people's names. Black guy, very deep voice. Old Man River. Here we are. He sung Old Man River, you know. Bloody, bloody, blah. Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson. Oh yeah. He was the only one actually blacklisted who was actually a member of the Communist Party, if I recall rightly. Oh, there was also a couple of... all right. Oh man, no. There was a documentary about it. There were two others. Sorry, I'm trying to dig facts up as I'm talking. The stuck-up Englishman Michael Caine, that was his first major role. Although, do you know what? Michael Caine actually appears in a film before then. He appeared in a 1961 film. Do you know that? Bit of movie trivia here. The Day the Earth Caught Fire. It's a science fiction disaster film from 1961. It's got Michael Caine. He's uncredited. He's uncredited. He just appears in one scene and he plays a policeman. Yeah, I recognised his voice as soon as he spoke. Anyway, moving on. Steve Mumbling. Reply to comments 68. At 2:24, you completely missed the point about Jarrah White wanting to go to Mars with SpaceX. Hang on, what's this then? Popular. I know. I think there's many of you watched them all the way through, even if you haven't made a comment. I think you got the wrong timestamp there, Steve. Yeah, I mentioned Jarrah. So I missed the point about Jarrah White wanting to go to Mars with space. Okay, here we go. You focused on the e-begging when you should have focused on the fact he wants to go to Mars when he tells us over and over and over again that travel beyond low Earth orbit would be lethal due to Van Allen and solar radiation. No, Steve, I didn't miss that point. I think I addressed that point. I did explain how in the Apollo detectives, I mean, I had actually had this kind of debate with him. I said that we could not travel to Mars without anti-gravity technology being declassified. And he said, no, it's not necessary. There are ways of getting to Mars by mitigating all the problems with rocketry and radiation and things like that in between. So, no, I didn't miss the point, I don't think. I mean, I think you've got the wrong timestamps here. He can't possibly believe his own radiation nonsense, can he? If he did, he would wait on Earth when the SpaceX Mars crew got fried, he would say, "Told you so!" At 1:38, sorry, still laughing. What's this? This is... Reply to your comment. Don't put it on while you're making dinner. Wrong. You're getting the timestamps wrong, Steve. Sorry, I'm still laughing. You comment on the turbo encabulator. Anyone with any technical knowledge would immediately know it's a joke. You say you can't comment on the encabulator because you have no tech... Oh, right, that's that video. that video you showed me, because you have no technical knowledge, yet you feel competent to comment on Apollo technology. Hilarious. Okay. I didn't know that was a joke. The thing is, he was using a lot of technical language I wouldn't necessarily understand. But it's, you see, I think I'm competent to comment on things which are presented to me in a comprehensive manner. So if you can explain the same thing using different kinds of language. This turbo encabulator video you showed me, which is okay, it's a joke. I think it's some kind of gotcha, isn't it, Steve? Which you were setting up for me. It was simply, it's possible, like, if he had been addressing a different kind of audience, he would use different language. As indeed, when we talk about Apollo technology, and even Jarrah himself is technically qualified. And as we talked before, he does have qualifications. We speak in a different form because we speak in a way which we talk about the same things, and we talk about them in sort of way, say, layman's terms. But still competent to talk about them. Otherwise, you could say, if what you're saying is true, it means that no one can watch David Attenborough because you're not a biologist. But the whole point of David Attenborough's TV series was to explain biology to people who know nothing about biology. I saw your comment on Hunchback's demise and said he'd put out a lot of good technical stuff, yet you're not in a position to know whether his stuff was good or utter rubbish, nor are the rest of the Apollo defectives. I am, and it was absolute rubbish. The thing is, Steve, as I've just explained, that's not the case. Now, Hunchback, God rest his soul, he did used to put out stuff in a way that people could understand. He talked about a lot of complicated technical things. And I know he did. He had this very crude kind of Monty Python style animation. I know that. But he still did it in a way that will make people understand it. Anyone could understand it. Dark Corner says underneath, I read this in Ben's Steve mumbling voice. And Jam Noise 72 says, you too, Yes, I know. It's obligatory now, isn't it? No one can read Steve mumbling in any other way, can they, except using Steve mumbling's voice. Alright, guys, so moving. What's next? Okay, what's next? Where am I? Okay. So, reply to comments 68. It's I think they've all been on bloody reply to comments, haven't they? Okay. Never mind, that's okay. Crafty Nihilist says, I'm sorry, Ben, I'm not going to watch a 9-hour video just to get one reply to one video. Jeez. Oh, Crafty, I don't do 9-hour videos anymore. A Dark Corner says, I would, lol. Just to get to reply to one video. It is a reply to a video, yeah. But when I did a 9-hour comments reply video once, I remember. I think I shot it all in a single day, too. I must have been crazy. Lauren Thompson says, reply to comment 68. Hi, Ben. Actually, I'm a long-time watcher. Oh, thanks, Lauren. I'm glad. Welcome to the world of commenting. Like a couple of years, but I've been a lurker. I think I've connected one other time, and that was when I mentioned that the city of Las Vegas has many... Oh, yes, I remember you now, yeah. Has many interesting solstice alignments with its layout. I remember because we had a conversation about that. I remember because I told you about Milton Keynes, yeah. I think it might have even been on the Milton Keynes video I did. Namely, the main streets of its original downtown area, including Fremont Street, where they have the Fremont Street Experience Light Show, which has a summer solstice alignment. Excuse me. As do the other original streets nearby. And Nellis Air Force Base has a winter and summer solstice alignments. This very well could be a coincidence, but it's kind of interesting to me. Lauren, I think if there's that many alignments, it's unlikely to be a coincidence. It's strange, actually, that these streets in a city which would have these alignments, as with Milton Keynes. But as for a military base, why? It's strange, isn't it? Regarding the flat Earth, in real life, I'd never admit that I have any questions regarding the globe. Ha! Well, you You might find a community. There's flat Earth communities all over the globe. Now, I could only make such an admission on the internet among strangers, because here I will be just another weirdo saying something weird on the internet. All right, you should see beyond the curve, Lauren. Apparently, there are flat Earth clubs everywhere now. So, even though I think that's completely wrong, you can find like-minded souls in real life. But in truth, I wish I could find an answer to the one question I have. It's terrible, actually, because there was one thing I can't reconcile to the globe. It sucks. I thought I'd been given answers. All right, well, Lauren, feel free to let me know. I mean, I'm quite happy to discuss this with people. I've had debates with flat earthers. I actually debated Mark Sargent once. Lauren says here underneath, oops, I sent that comment before I'd finished writing. But oh well, it was really long anyway. So I'll wrap it up. So I'll try to wrap it up. Okay, Lauren. No problem. You can put it into different segments if you want. Basically, I just try not to think about the question I have, because it's so frustrating that I can't explain it. I am still hopeful that someday I'll come across the explanation for this seeming indiscrepancy. I like that word, indiscrepancy. Is that a real word? It should be if it's not. Indiscrepancy. And I can't put it to rest. I'm not going to ask the question I have here, because I'm not that optimistic that doing so would produce a satisfactory answer, though. For someone who otherwise doesn't subscribe to any flat earth rhetoric, the one thing I can't explain is really frustrating, lol. Well, actually, no, Lauren, you can. You can. You don't. It's up to you, but you can. You feel quite free to post it anywhere on this channel, and I will do my best to answer it. Obviously, I don't subscribe to any flat Earth rhetoric at all, but this is not because I hate that. I hate them viscerally the way Jarrah White does, or I mean, I'm not like that. I do talk to people who believe this. I do try to address their points. I've done an entire video called Flat Earth, which does exactly that. So if you don't want to, that's fine. But as for a satisfactory answer, I mean, if you mean an answer that will be in agreement with you, it's unlikely. But I'm open to being proved wrong. It says here, I don't subscribe to the jet fuel hoax nor the pylon hoax either, but I do question the narrative. I think we all should. Anyhow, cheerio. Anywho, cheerio. Lauren, okay. Anywho is another word I often hear. It's an alternative pronunciation for anyhow, and I know people who say it all the time. Anywho, but I quite like that. But no, I don't subscribe to either the jet fuel or the pylon hoax myself either. But I do think it's quite amusing. I thought I'd cover it. However, I said the pylon thing though is more difficult to dismiss than the jet fuel thing, and I did find that was a challenge. The pylon thing, it really was. Thanks for commenting anyway, Lauren. Hope you'll comment again. Steve Mumbling says on reply to comment 68. The new defective is a lawyer, isn't he? He should know all about space radiation and Apollo technology. PMSL. Well, Steve, why don't you try focusing on what they say rather than who they are? It's an ad hominem otherwise. Now, you may say a lawyer wouldn't, you're implying that he wouldn't know anything about it very sarcastically just because he's a lawyer. Lawyers have to be very good generalists because they often have to go to court about all kinds of subjects, A, B, and C, that they have to deal with different cases, which means they have to talk to a lot of experts. They have to get a lot of opinion from different people, fact check an awful lot of what they do, because they know that if they're a counsel to somebody, the other counsel will be doing the same. So I think being a lawyer actually is a pretty good measure that he's going to be quite rational. As with bookmakers, as I mentioned on previous videos, bookmakers are another good source for statistical knowledge, because the thing is, bookmakers' livelihoods depend upon a good understanding of statistics. So a bookmaker may not have a degree in statistics and mathematics, but basically they got their head up their arse every day having to deal with statistics just to put food on the table. So therefore, I trust a bookmaker's judgment. What was it the bookmaker thing was? I can't remember. I brought this long thing about bookies. Bookies actually saying a certain thing. Who's that? Okay. Anyway, Jam Noise 72 says underneath, "Hi Steve, great to meet you. Do you really sound like Ben's impression of you? If so, I do hope you do that. That you do voiceovers." Oh, Jackie, go and watch some of Steve's videos. I mean, to be honest, maybe it's not exactly. The voices aren't exactly right, but you know what? I've just got so used to doing them like that now. I can't change the voices I do for Steve. Anyway, maybe I do sound a bit like him. You can check. Oh, with Rin McCartney's 8 catching up. This is Zoel's bleeding. Zoella's bleeding vagina. Oh God, what a name! I know we had Big Bird wears a strap on in the chat box on the live stream last night. Now we got Zoella's. I'll just call you Zoella if you don't mind. Says on Riverdin Michaelis, Taylor Swift dances like a white person. I don't know. Really? Well, there's nothing wrong with dancing like a white person. I'm a white person. I dance like a white person. But there you go. I don't know. How do white people dance differently to non-white people? Max Q says here on reply to comment 68. Thanks for not reading my comment in full. It wasn't a particularly long comment. I was not background information as you claimed. Truth is the bits you omitted make you defectives look foolish. You find plenty of time to comment on arguments about if you received an email receipt or not. Truth is, you could have received that email, deleted it, and then done a screenshot for your inbox. I won't be wasting my time trying to educate you with comments in the future. All right, well, feel free to stop posting if you want, Max, but I don't know what exactly. Perhaps I don't know what exactly what you did. I say if I said I wasn't going to read one of your comments, it was probably because you were in some kind of argument with someone else, and it reached a point where it was just relevant to the two people you were arguing with. Okay, that's the only time I don't read people's comments. And I actually replied by text here. I said, that's up to you, but cut the crap about me deleting and ignoring your comments. I've addressed a lot of yours, every one I could see. Max Q says underneath, I never said you deleted or ignored any of my comments. I spent time formulating a comment, and you said you're not going to read it out. It's full because it's background, which is incorrect. Oh well, I can't remember which comment it was, Max. You need to start reading the comments slowly. I've noticed many times you read a comment by someone and substitute or omit words, making it sound like they're saying something completely different. This thread is a perfect example. If I do that, it's by an honest mistake because I skipped my eye test. I didn't go to my eye test. I'm very sorry, but I probably need to get reading glasses, Max. All right, once I've done that, I'll be better at this. But I'm still doing these long videos. I'm doing the best I can. I'm not deliberately omitting or distorting what people say. And here we get Charles Scott. Now, see, I do skip some of Charles's comments because he repeats stuff. And maybe I can't remember specifically, but it's possible I. What was it you said? That I didn't read your comment out because it was full of background, because you did the same. Because if I read every one of Charles Scott's comments out, I will be repeating myself, because Charles is a notorious cut and paster. Charles Scott, thanks Max Q, given the factual proof and factual evidence, it's at least beyond reasonable doubt that Ben deleted. And here's a perfect example. No, I'm not going to read that out, Charles, because it's all the shit you said before. You're just acting like a stuck record. It's the whole thing about Chris Evers deleting Chris Evers' email and doing a screenshot to make me think otherwise. And as I've said, Chris Evers, sent evidence which Charles says is real. I provided the same evidence Charles says is not. I'm not going to repeat that, isn't it? Charles says something. In fact, it appears Ben is giving out misinformation or disinformation to your current comment. Misinformation or disinformation? You sound like the bloody BBC, Charles. Oh, don't tell me all your comments are safe and effective, are they? Max Q says here, because I will. Max, I'm going to skip over some of your comments when you repeat yourself. If you don't like it, go and post on someone else's channel. Max says to Charles, hence my reply to him in this thread. In my case, I'm not sure if it's intentional. He seems to read things and his brain reconstructs it to what he wants it to be. Now, my brain reconstructs language from written text the way everyone's does, and sometimes there are errors. It's not deliberate. I'm not distorting what you're saying. For example, someone might post, I really believe that, and he reads, I really don't believe that. Okay, so it's a mistake. It's a mistake. Lots of people do that. Many times when he's speaking, he will say things that contradict himself, like, yes, I really like that, we really don't. It's like he's adding fictional others into his misrepresentation. Ben has received a very poor education. Oh, right. Well, thank goodness for that. All the most intelligent people do. By his own admission in this video, yet later he says he wishes he would have homeschooled his child. That's not a contradiction. There's something not quite right there. No, what's wrong with that? Where's the contradiction in that? Charles Scott says to Max, again, whatever the reason, if it's not intentional, it's certainly misinformation. I will be responding to Ben's responses when I can, but I'm convinced he's now using disinformation in response to my latest comments, and therefore we're seeing a noxious side to his character. Max Q says underneath, this is too obvious to be willfully constructed. There's something clearly wrong here. Jarrah White never told Ben he was a PhD or doctor, but Ben claims he did. Yeah, I just remembered. For goodness sake, how come when someone corrected me, I read that out? How come when someone corrected me, I said okay? If I was trying to distort misinformation, disinformation, trust the science, etc., etc., if I was trying to do that, I would ignore the comments which were exposing what were lies of mine, wouldn't I? But I didn't. I read them out. Later in this video, Ben has to backpedal and puts that untruth down to another steaming pile, the Mandela effect. Well, maybe it was. It's not a steaming pile. Anyway, the Mandela effect is real. Any normal person would know that's a lie, and they would never get away with it or never have told it. And Charles Scott says underneath here, well, if he's not giving out disinformation, then I can only think he has a mental illness. It's misinformation for sure. Honestly, you two are like a pair of moaning old ladies. You really are, Charles Scott and Max Q. It's like watching an episode of House Party. All right, Scary Robinson says on replying to comment 68. Another thread here. Bin what? Oh my goodness me. What's this say? Ben mate. Alright, okay. In reply to the comments about gender swapping and woke in movies being a simple case of studios wanting to make money, that's definitely not the case. Kathleen Kennedy, who was the head of Lucasfilm, has made public statements many times over the years stating that more women and ethnic minorities were needed behind and in front of the camera. This resulted in films that had more characters than the plot could support, which is why the new Star Wars films was such a mess. It's also resulted in disillusioned actors such as John Boyega, who eventually stated that he would never work with her again. Oh, I mean, this is the problem, you know. I've noticed this within woke communities and woke institutions. They turn on each other. They turn against each other. We've seen this with the TERFs and the TERFs and the what's the word? Intersectional feminists, and we have like the victimhood Olympics, things like that. Everyone, as soon as these wokists get together, they all have competitions over who has the biggest slice of that victimhood cheesecake, don't they? And we've seen this. John Boyega was the ultimate diversity hire. And of course, despite this, he can't stand the people who hired him and work with him. You get this all the time. Earlier this year, this is Gary again, a group of Disney executives took part in a Zoom meeting in which they spoke at length about how they were forcing LGBTQ and queer characters and storylines into their movies and TV shows. This will be done across the board in content for all age ranges, including children and teens. Disgusting. Honestly, man, that's disgusting. Leave the kids alone. The video of the meeting was leaked to the press, and you can imagine a lot of people have been turning away from Disney as a result and unsubscribed from Disney's. Their merchandise is now DGA, and is being what don't know what DGA means, and it's being returned to distributors en masse, and their movies, which are increasingly woke, are losing more and more money. Lightyear bombed because parents didn't want their children watching two guys kissing, and their gay caveman movie is also just bombed. Oh, I didn't even know those films had been made. I heard but vaguely about Lightyear. I don't know about the other one, so that's no surprise there, is it? And he carries on. If that's not bad enough, they've just released Willow on Disney Plus, which is a sequel to the film movie made by George Lucas and Ron Howard. All the men characters are pathetic, and all of the heroes are young gay women, and surprise, surprise, they did a Luke Skywalker job on Willow, also to make him look pathetic. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, jeez, this is what I mean. When they can't stop poisoning their own well. They can't keep their finger off the self-destruct button. Oh, David Smith chimes in now. You seem to be obsessed with whatever you mean by woke, Gary. It's as if it is, as you say, and that's them losing money, should be enough for them to change the tide. They are a business after all. Well, David, this just means that it's not their obsession with woke, it's the general public, it's the viewing public who just don't like it. I don't see a problem with anyone being exposed to the reality of relationships or orientations that aren't strictly heterosexual, as our reality isn't like that. I don't anyway when it's voluntary and it's adults who are exposed to it. But when you have a film that's aimed at children, there's something badly wrong with that, David. Children should not be introduced to this reality in such a way. I know that children do grow up in environments where there are homosexuals, in which case that could be dealt with within the family. It's not up to the media anymore. It's up to education to guide the children through those situations. It's up to the parents. It's up to the extended family who have these people within them, within their circles. I will agree that putting people of ethnically diverse backgrounds in place of people better suited is a problem, but I'm not sure how often that really happens. Oh, David, Disney have been specifically putting out diversity hires. So has the BBC. They've been advertising diversity hires. Now, it's completely illegal. All the equal opportunities laws oppose it, and whenever someone actually challenges it legally, they withdraw that clause within their recruitment policy. But very, very few people do challenge it, and when it is challenged, no arrests are made. It never goes to court. David Smith says to Gary Robinson says to David Smith. Oh, by the way, guys, do check out the woke debate at the Oxford Union. It's on the Oxford Union YouTube channel. It's very good. David Smith, absolutely, because woke kills creativity, leaving us with bad films and bad music, and it forces people to self-center their own speech. Woke also brainwashes young people and gives them a twisted worldview. My own business has been hindered severely by woke. One of my major revenue streams, wax producing music for shows on the CW. The network is now going bust because of woke content, forcing them into bankruptcy. I've also had agents I've worked with for over a decade refusing to work with white people in the wake of BLM. So please bear with me, as woke is personally affecting me. So it's high on my radar of concern. Cheers. Jam Noise says to Gary, "Where is this can't shop you speak of?" Can't shop. Ha. I don't know. Oh right. I think they might have accidentally said a rude word. She says, "Is it close to the Dick store?" So I don't get that. I think someone's edited a comment there, Jackie. Gary says, "Lol, took me a moment to work out what you meant. Very funny." Oh, okay. Oh, maybe it's the top here. I can't see the comment, sorry. Gary says, David Smith says underneath, Gary. It sounds like you're using woke simply to define things you don't agree with. Creativity can be stifled by many things, and bad movies have been, and will continue to be made, even with what you describe as woke not being involved. Brainwashing and misinformation of young people does happen, I'll give you that, and sometimes I see the far left trying to ban people putting forward their beliefs. That might be a bit xenophobic, yet at the same time I'm happy to support people who in turn support Islamic ideology, killing people for having relationships outside marriage, for example. Well, you see, David, this alliance between Islamism and the left, I see that contradiction as well, just like you do. David continues, refusing to work with white people I would definitely put as a problem too. Well, hallelujah, thank you, David. I just wouldn't call it woke. Alright, so if we're dealing with terminology here, then this is a different debate. Are you absolutely sure that's what's happening? What have they said that their reasoning is for this? And David says to Jam Noise, it's a little counter inside the can't store as it happens. Gary says to David, with lots of feckin' can'ts inside. Alright, I think the debate broke down a little bit then, but thanks to that thread guys, that's very interesting. Oh, Charles Scott here says here, alright, reply to comment 68. I'm not I'm not convinced your latest response to my comments in reply to comment 67 and Apollo Texas 11 are using disinformation, oh god, or worse, it's your mental illness. Right, Charles, I'm now officially going to skip over some of your comments. I'm going to quickly have a look here to see if you actually say anything original, because if not, I'm not reading this out. I'm not going to delete it. The comment is here for people to read if they want, but I'm not going to read it out. Blah de blah, factual evidence, liar, it could happen any time regarding OLM, blah de blah. Are you sane and honest? Any sane or honest YouTuber giving out disinformation, mental illness, possibly if you to accept my apology. I have not given out any misinformation. I used the word definite because after research it appears you temporarily delete comment. I didn't delete any bloody comments. Shut up. I'm unable to verify if true. Give this there's 100% proof. Oop, that's the end of an hour. I'll just finish this particular bit. Blah de blah. You said you said it was simple to fabricate. Blah de blah. You're unable to fabricate. Blah de blah. All right. Alright, you should also apologise to me for any misinformation and disinformation you've given towards me. Right, well I don't apologise, Charles, because I haven't given you any of those things. Alright, so that's the end of hour number 1. Back very short. Okay guys, we're on to hour number 2 now. And I feel a bit better now. I had a little sleep. I was a bit tired. You may have noticed I was a little bit drowsy during certainly later on in part 1, but I'm feeling a lot better now. So we'll go back to the comments section and see what we have here, and of course we have a comment on something that's not replied to comment 68, which is nice. It's I've met Slaxer. It's a video I met where I actually met Slaxer, and he says, this is Wild Fox 01 who says here, I once had a heated argument with Slaxer in the comments section many years ago. No bad feelings. I'm glad he's keeping well. Peace. Wild Fox, I mean, I don't know many people who've not actually had heated arguments with Slaxer at some point. But yeah, I'm glad he's doing okay too. I mean, obviously he's been through some tough times these last couple of years. But he has his channel and he's making videos, and I'm wishing him all the best. Still enjoying his content. Now, Steve Mumbling says here, on a reply to comment 68, if the Varginha incident is the best evidence you have no evidence. All right. So, well, Steve, that was simply an answer off the top of my head. I didn't have time to think about it. There may actually be better evidence than that in certain places. But anyway, he has here a link. What is it? There's a link. Oh. It's his own. Hang on.
Terrible production quality on the Friday.
It's his own video.
That's what you get with the Steve.
Oh, it's all right. We've seen this before.
Now, this
all right.
is,
yeah, we've seen this before. You can already see I've thumbed this down here. This is a video called. I don't need to show you this. It's another one bites the dust. The Varginha quote unquote alien by Steve Mumbling. and I have discussed it in a previous comments reply video, if you recall. I actually did put a comment on here a little while ago, because this is the one where Steve brings up Mudinho, who is a local man. He's disabled, and he has a speech impediment, and which is why he's called Mudinho, because that's not his real name. Mudinho means the little mute man, and the girls called him that as a nickname. And so I put a comment on here explaining that it's a bit of a silly thing. I mean, this is a guy who the girls knew him, and he's actually not a homeless man. I mean, Steve says he's a local homeless man. He actually lives with his parents, even though he's an adult, because a previous documentary team actually went to interview him, and they couldn't interview him because of child protection laws in Brazil. Vulnerable adult protection laws in Brazil. They interviewed Mudinho's parents, who confirmed that he knew Katia and Valqueira and the other lady. What's her name? It was Katia, Valqueira, and the third one. Sorry, it'll come to me in a minute. And they knew him very, very well. In fact, Katia used to give him cigarettes as well. So Katia actually she was the older girl who used to smoke and gave him cigarettes. And see, funny thing is, Martin Willis, of all people, puts a comment here. Look at this. Martin Willis has actually commented. Steve, you are honoured. Martin Willis has actually commented on your channel. This is Martin Willis here, podcast UFO, which I listen to all the time. This is one of the biggest YouTube radio shows of all, and I do very much recommend it. Actually, it's a very, very interesting. It has some very, very interesting guests and other things. So do check that out. And Steve is honoured to have Martin Willis actually commenting on it. So Steve, I think you're getting pretty popular. If you know Martin Willis has condescended to comment on your videos, I think that's going down pretty well. I think. I mean, you've obviously touched a raw nerve. Now, Martin Willis says quite rightly, did Mudinho have red eyes? and Steve puts a comment here that's very interesting. And in fact, I've replied to him already. Here we go. I replied to him just before I started recording. The latest is the eyes could have been red or black. What do you think is more likely? They saw Mudinho or a local homeless guy with the size and shape and posture they described, or they saw a crew member from a starship? And as I reply here to Steve, it is far more likely they saw a crew member of a starship than 3 young women were within 8 feet of a man they knew very well and mistook him for an alien. Occam's razor comes around to bite you in the arse, Steve. Yes, that's what I mean. It's as always said when I said in my skeptic talk, beware Occam's razor. It can backtrap on you pretty well. All right, this is Jamnoise72. She put a timestamp in here. Oh, this should be interesting. Okay, this is a timestamp here. I was like that. I really do. I'm just too. Maybe I am too nice. Yes. I think. You two got history, haven't you? Yeah. David Smith says to Gary, "Your wife runs her own business when she's not doing drugs." All right. Yeah. What was this all about? I can't remember. Anyway, Jam Noise says here, "Fucking hilarious, Gary. Haha. Where is the cant shop?" And Gary Robinson says it's in between Greg's Bakery and Primark. Lol. And Jam Noise laughs. Sorry, these guys are obviously sharing a private joke that I don't get. And reply to comment 68, Jam Noise says, "Bro, I used to love the Golden Girls." Yeah, me too, Jam Noise. I mean, I remember it was a long time ago. I was quite young, but I did think it was funny. I did think it was a funny series. Yeah. Reply to comment 68 here. Okay, if you refuse to use AdBlock, says Jam Noise, then you are no longer able to complain about it, bro. You can't have it both ways, haha. Alright, that's because someone suggested I use an ad blocker, didn't they, on my channel, so I wouldn't have to put up with the ads. I'm always moaning, oh god, bloody ads, press hit mute, come on. And I'm always moaning about it. She says, if you don't use an ad block, you can't complain. Well, I think I can, Jackie, because, you see, I think I can. I think it's fair enough to complain. The reason is because YouTube has always had ads, but the ads used to be like at the beginning. They were only at the beginning, and that all of them had 5 seconds skip buttons. All of them, every single one. Never came across an ad that didn't have a 5 second skip button. And you know what? That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all. And that was a perfectly adequate business model for YouTube back then. So what's changed? Why is it now you have to have these big long ads, and sometimes you get like a minute or more of ads? So you two, sometimes 3 ads before you can even watch a video, and then no skip button. No skipping, and they break out halfway through videos sometimes as well. I started downloading some of the longer videos and just watching them actually just on Media Player. Like the video, there's this big long documentary about the WOW signal. It was so infested with ads that I just downloaded it. To hell with this. I downloaded it and just watched it. I mean, I deleted it when I watched it. I just couldn't bear to watch all the bloody ads. And Gary Robinson says underneath, the ads on YouTube are getting insane. 2 ads in a row, some of them are 30-second long infomercials. Then you pause for a few minutes and you get 2 more ads once you press play. Got an ad block on my PC, but on the phone it's a pain and I can't stop. I mean, surely, you know, why is it YouTube have had to suddenly started bringing in all these ads? They never used to. I mean, I never monetized my channel anyway, but you know, if I had, I'd demonetize it. Well, I'd probably be demonetized anyway. The thing is, if you monetize your channel and then and YouTube demonetize it, they keep posting bloody ads on it because they make money off it, the bastards. I mean, Slaxer made this point about how hypocritical it was. They demonetize your channel, they say, because we can't allow you to monetize because your content is so offensive. So we're going to stop you with your AdSense. But they still put ads on there and they get money off it. The only thing is, they just don't give the money to you. Bloody two-faced bastards. Oh, honestly, the worst thing that ever happened was when whoever it was who started YouTube sold it to Google. They should have kept it. And then it could have been like Twitter under Elon. Oh dear. Oh, here we go. Anyway, reply to comment. I'm not going to dwell on this annoying subject. I'm going to go on to the lights below on reply to comment 68. Hi Ben, in regards to those being critical of Jarrah White's crowdfunding, I really think perhaps many admire the fact you have never done this, nor had ads on your site, nor ever required monies in any way, shape or form. You should be proud that you have created content via your books and only expect to be paid for delivering a product. To be fair, you keep all of us, even those who disagree regularly, entertained for free. So I see you need to stick up for Jarrah. But it is perhaps a compliment to you that people bring this up. In order to earn money, we must all provide a service or product. To simply request it from subscribers to such a huge amount without offering a return is maybe not seen as fair by those, including you and your reviewers who work. As I say, you could try Jarrah's method as your output is tremendous. You put a great effort in, but you don't ask for money. I'm just trying to make the point a little clearer on why people in general get fed up with this kind of thing. You could never be accused of this, but I don't think you need to stand up for someone else who does. Just saying. All right, well, Lights, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you appreciate what I do. It really makes me happy that you appreciate what I do, and the fact that I, in a sense, I'm in the position where I don't know if it's a privilege or luxury or whether it is some kind of principle, but I don't monetize what I do apart from when I'm selling something, which is my books, and the reason is because I essentially don't need to, because I have an independent income. I work full time like most people, and what I do here is essentially a hobby. I mean, I could monetize like some people do and make extra money, but I don't think it would be dishonest. It's not something I want to do. I don't want to sell this sort of thing. I quite like, because I enjoy it so much. And if it entertains you for free, that's great. I mean, it's not really a detriment to me. As for Jarrah and people who crowdfund, I suppose what Jarrah is doing, in a sense, he is providing something. I mean, I think what he wants to do, he wants to go into space, and I suppose a lot of his viewers want to see him go to space, and I suppose they would be paying him for that reason. I suppose for those who do contribute to his crowdfund, I have not contributed to his crowdfund. I gave him something to help him out with his grandmother when his house when his grandmother died, but I've not contributed to this crowdfund. That's just because I'm not particularly interested. I mean, it'd be interesting to see Jarrah go into space, but I'm not that much of a viewer as Jarrah that I want to pay him to go into space. But some people do, and some people do it simply for them. It's I suppose it's so that they see the guy they like to watch on YouTube go into space. So instead they're getting something back from it. Jara's getting something obviously because he wants to go into space. But it's rather like someone suggested that I crowdfund a trip to St Helena for myself. When I was making my St Helena video, someone suggested, why don't you start a crowdfund? He said he offered actually quite a large amount of money himself, quite a large considerable proportion of the fee, because I reckon £1,000 could probably get me to St Helena, the fare and maybe a couple of nights on the island, like the plane fare. I said I wouldn't go unless I could go by sea, which would be more expensive and more difficult. Hence the fact that I didn't go along with that particular. I decided not to entertain that particular idea or continue with that particular project. To go by sea, I would probably wouldn't look. There are no passenger ships that travel to St Helena now regularly. I'd have to join a cruise, so it would be a lot more expensive. But see, that's another point. I mean, the reason this person made this offer was they said with all the St Helena airport videos they did, they'd like to see me actually do a video on St Helena, which I'd be glad to do, of course. I wouldn't go there and not film. I'd make sure it would be a working trip for me. But I hope that clarifies my position a little bit. Moving on to David Smith on the same video. I finally got around to giving this a listen. Oh, really? Don't you watch? Don't you want to see my handsome face, David? So you just sit there, or you put it on audio, do you? Okay. You seem to laugh when your preferred viewers insult others, but when people like me fire back, it's blasphemy. What? I laugh when my preferred viewers insult others. When people like you hit back, it's what do you mean it's blasphemy? No, look, I laughed because Gary gave you as good as you got. He said something. You said something, and I realised that you two had history of some kind. And I think I know what it was. It was to do with his wife, and he gave you what I think you deserved. And it's not blasphemy, David. But the thing is, what you said about his wife. I think you said something like, "Oh, she's something about." Well, I won't repeat it. But you said something about her and drugs, which I didn't like. And he was quite right. And you say, I never insulted Gary, I merely asked for evidence and responded to his insult to me. Oh, right. So, who started it? Oh, blimey. YouTube may have sent it to your spam folder, and so you didn't realise he insulted me first. All right, well, who did what to whom, tit for tat? All I saw, I mean, I don't really think there was a discrepancy in how I treated the same thing. I mean, if Gary had said something rude about your wife, right, and you called him the name that he called you, I would have said, fine, fair enough. I'd have been on your side, David. I would. He didn't put me in my place. He resorted to petty insults and condescending remarks about personal wealth. The way I see it, I asked politely, checked for evidence, and found none. And that to me is putting him in his place. All right. Well, I don't recall all the details of this conversation, David. But if I remember, you said something about his wife, something to do with his wife and drugs, which sounded pretty rude. Gary Robinson says, David, everything is cool, mate. I was just messing with you. Cheers. All right. Well, there's your answer. There's your answer, David. Okay. Gary says, by the way, I saw an insane hologram thing at a concert on TikTok last night. Oh, I see. Oh, yes, this was about the holographic projection, wasn't it? Yeah, that was it. I remember this. I don't remember the entire conversation nor what I said, but there you go. I remember something like that. I'm not subscribed to the person who posted it, but it was a hologram of a guy's face with lasers each side, and his face starts to morph. It's a photorealistic, the size of a tower block. All right. David Smith says to Gary, I made a full reply, but it got deleted. I have a feeling what you're referring to are projectors that require some kind of screen, like MJ in Las Vegas, etc. The Printworks Club in London has something similar. Look it up on YouTube and see what you mean. You might find a match. All right, they project things onto the size of buildings, yes. Gary says, yes. I had another look, and I think you're right. The thing seems to be a project. I think you mean projection. It's frustrating that I can't find the Mexican hologram video, though. That's definitely 3D, and I suspect it's been generated by devices of some kind that were in different places in order to have the central shape with smaller objects surrounding it. Oh, right. Okay. Reply to comment 68. Steve mumbling. You deleted my response to Jamnoise72. Can't handle the truth. Oh, shut up, Steve. Shut up. And Jamnoise72 says, what reply, Steve? Steve says, precisely. I didn't delete any of your comments, Steve. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, here we go. Charles Scott. Alright, Charles, if this is not original, I'm not going to read it out. One more convincing piece of disinformation is... right, here's a timestamp. Explain how what Charles is saying is completely untrue. He's basically been presented with evidence that he's immediately saying that I faked when he's got no evidence. He then accuses me. He then says that I've been caught lying because someone else a third party has presented evidence to us that he says could not possibly have been faked when it's exactly the same kind of evidence. Yeah, exactly. I've made this point many times to you, Charles, and I stand by it. Any sane and honest YouTube viewer that has carefully studied the OLM situation from reply to comments 58 part 2 onwards. Right, well, I don't think many people... I don't think you have to be sane and honest to focus on this one issue as much as you have, Charles. We realise you have been repeatedly told by me I've not immediately dismissed your screenshot evidence with zero evidence, and I've repeatedly told you it is the factual proof and factual evidence that leaves me in little doubt you faked a screenshot. Well, no, it's not, Charles, because I just told you you have accepted one piece of evidence and not the other, even though both pieces could have been faked. As for consequence, I've repeatedly told you I'm in little doubt Chris Evers' Stripe account screenshot is true, and therefore I never said Chris Evers' screenshot couldn't possibly have been faked. Well, why do you think his is true then? Why do you think he has a page of supposedly a Stripe account, something that never got to me, he never sent anything to me, and you say, oh no, that's real, it's real, yet I provide the exact same kind of evidence to you to put my point across, and you say, no, I faked it. I'm convinced you saying I'm the star of the show is a desperate attempt to discredit me. No, it's not, Charles, it's because your contribution was so intense and so widespread and so obsessive and so wrong that I decided to make it a big point of it in the last comments reply video. After listening to your response... What's this? Oh, it's another timestamp. Droll. Now we come to Charles Scott. What's this about? Now we come to Charles Scott. This is where the fun begins, guys. This is where the fun is. Oh. It's taken 2.5 hours to get here, but we're here. BZ Garson. Why was my Jarrah White e-begging comment deleted? What happened to unfettered free speech, Mr. Emlyn-Jones? Well, may I refer you back a few minutes to where I showed... Oh, right, okay, I remember all this. This is basically where... Yeah, oh, God, I have to keep repeating myself. Okay, it was an anticlimax being the star of the show because I've spoken only the truth. Therefore, I offer you no apology, nor am I aware that Steve Mumbling and BZ Garson have given you an apology. It was a hyperbole, Charles. But basically, because I caught you in a corner and proved you both wrong. I actually showed you the comments that you said I deleted. So I said apology accepted because obviously you had to apologise, didn't you? And I assumed you did. As you repeatedly give out misinformation and disinformation, I won't be surprised if your sane and honest YouTube viewers would take your word for it I've given out false information. Oh, don't tell me. The screenshot I sent you of the comment on there that I put on there was actually a fake. I faked a screenshot of a comment you said I deleted, which was actually on my channel. Don't you? You faked it. Or somehow I hacked your account and wrote a comment in there to prove you wrong. Go on, let's go the whole hog. Let's jump through even more hoops, Charles. Let's do more mental gymnastics to prove your point, shall we? I hacked your account and I wrote out the comments you said I deleted, and then I clicked post, I clicked reply, and then I logged out and you logged in and you come on. Your disinformation and making me the star of the show is a desperate attempt to discredit me in order to try and weaken the factual proof and factual evidence that you are a liar, and reveals a very obnoxious side to your character. I will address your other response when convenient. Oh, bring it on, Charles. I'll look forward to it. Moving on. We have the 2012 Mayan calendar 10th anniversary live stream, Dark Corners. First again, Merry Christmas, Ben, and a Happy New Year. Merry belated Christmas and Happy New Year to you, Dark Corners. And we have a thread now on the Mayan calendar, 10th anniversary live stream. Gary Robinson says, Ben, mate, are you still deleting people's comments? Lol, joking. Of course I am, Gary, yes. I mean, Steve Mumbling and Charles Scott say I am, so it must be true. Steve Mumbling says, yes, he is. Regardless of what he tells anyone, he deletes comments that he doesn't like, usually ones that hit the nail right on the head. And I have proved to you, Steve, I proved to you in the last video, didn't I, that I'm not actually deleting the comments. And you still maintain this. I'm not. How much longer am I gonna find amusement from playing this stupid little game with you and Charles? And with Max Q. Although Max Q has rage quit now, I think. Jam Noise says to Steve Mumbling, Ben can do whatever the fuck he wants here. It's his channel, remember? Thank you, Jackie. And Jam Noise says to Steve, how would you know if he is deleting comments or not? Have you got access to his YouTube account? No. And Jamnoy says, I bet he deletes this, G. Oh, right. Oh, Gary. Jam, they're still there, Jam. Oh, they're still there. And Steve Mumbling says, of course he can. He should show a bit of integrity and admit he deleted the comment rather than denying it, though. Did you see my response about watching my videos and destroying the ridiculous claims of the Apollo defectives? So you know he deleted it because it isn't there now, is it? See, as I've said many times, and any regular YouTube user should know this, actually. There's many reasons why people write a comment and it doesn't appear on the comments section. Sometimes they have to click newest first to get the comment. Sometimes they have to refresh a few times for it to appear. I've been in this situation myself where I've put a comment on someone's channel and I can't find it. And if it's a very important comment, what I recommend doing is don't write it in YouTube and just click reply. What I suggest you do is actually just copy it on a Word document first, and then save it. So if it disappears, you can always repost it. That's what I recommend you do. Right. Oh, it's an old video now. Am I a MGTOW? Popcorn Boxing says, are you still a MGTOW sympathiser? Still single? Both. Popcorn. I am. Yeah, I'm a single man, and it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, actually. Popcorn Boxing actually says, am I still a MGTOW sympathiser? Yes, I'm a MGTOW sympathiser. I am not a MGTOW though. As I said before, I actually find MGTOWs, that is men going their own way. It's a sort of movement. I describe in the video, am I a MGTOW? MGTOW. You can go and watch that video if you want. But the movement I'm talking about is, I actually find these people very depressing to listen to. They're very melancholy, they're very misanthropic, they have an extremely cynical, dark vision of womanhood, which I don't think is fair or true. And but I think I know why. I think I sympathise with them because I know why they become MGTOWs. I think I know why. I understand why. So the answer to both those questions is yes, Popcorn Boxing. Right, Mayan calendar, Charles Scott. Oh, here we go again. Goodness knows, Benz, how much more false information you give out about me and others without their knowledge. Whether it be misinformation, disinformation, or trusting the science. Or sorry, he didn't say trusting the science. Or your mental illness. At timestamp, here we go. I deleted. And Woody Black, yeah, Steve Mumbling is actually not mad at me for deleting his comments. He knows very well that I don't delete his comments. He's just being an idiot. He's just he's making an excuse. He does this every time. Charles Scott is getting a bit like that as well. And Max Q isn't. I don't think Max Q's accused me of deleting a comment yet, but they. Alright, so you said onwards, I've never accused you of deleting a comment. What? Let me scroll down. All right, no, sorry, you're right, Charles. Okay, yeah, you were actually referring to someone else's comment. Sorry. All right, okay. Anyway, I am highly suspicious you have deleted a comment because okay. You were accusing me, Charles. You were accusing me of deleting someone else's comments. I think that might have been what I meant. You have deleted a comment because I know you are a liar with a mental illness. Thanks in part to your admission you were a. I'm not reading that. I stick to the facts, so I don't see how I'm an idiot while you deviate from the facts, just like an idiot. You should apologise to all these people with your defamation. I don't believe I've committed any defamation, Charles, and I'm not apologising, because I haven't deleted anyone's comments. You did accuse me. This is what I meant when I said Charles Scott is getting a bit like that. You have accused me of deleting. You said I've never accused you of deleting a comment. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You accused me back down here. Okay, well, anyway, 2012 calendar, 2012 Mayan calendar. Benji84 says, why did Nibiru return? Why did the Nibiru return get associated 2012? Surely it should have been spotted coming years before, so we knew it wasn't going to appear. I enjoyed watching all the 2012 YouTube videos leading up to the day, but the day itself was a damp squib. I think the 2012 Olympics opening ceremony was the big event that year, something very sinister about it. Well, yeah, Benji, I actually refer to the Nibiru thing in the video itself, and I explain why it was all a load of bollocks from the start. And I make the same point that you did, that something that big that was going to appear in 2012 would have been spotted years in advance, decades in advance. By the time the late 2012 appeared, it would be bigger in the sky than the full moon. It would be very obvious it was there, but it wasn't there because it doesn't exist. As I said, you can't keep a secret in astronomy. There are no cover-ups in astronomy. Astronomy is the one truly democratic science. All the data is above our heads. As for the 2012 Olympic opening ceremony, I actually made a series of videos about that were deleted for copyright. But I agree with you. There's something very sinister about it indeed. Yeah. Okay. Mayan calendar Tessa 111. Ben, would love you to do a review of Mel Gibson's conspiracy theory movie with Julia Roberts. It was very fun to watch. Great idea, Tessa, because that is a very good film. It's by Donna. What's his name? Donna. Oh, fuck's sake. Some Richard Donner, is it? I wish I could just remember. Yeah, Richard Donner. It's a film by Richard Donner from 1997 with Mel Gibson playing he plays this guy called Jerry Fletcher, who's actually rather like me. And yes, I won't go into it now. Basically, you think this guy's a bit of a nutcase. He's paranoid. He's a typical like caricature of a conspiracy theorist. He's a bit like me, I admit. But later on, it turns out he is actually the victim of a real conspiracy. And his theory is actually true. It's well worth watching. And yes, maybe doing a watch party of that is a good idea, Tessa. Tessa also says The Last Crusade is best with Sean Connery as Indy's dad. Tessa, I've not. That's literally. I've never seen that film. It's weird, isn't it? I've never seen that film. 2012 Mayan calendar, Crafty Nihilist. I'm wrapping my presents while listening. I'm imagining you in an elf onesie. Maybe don't tell Mark that bit. Oh, I'm glad I'm good pre-Christmas entertainment there, Crafty. Crafty also says here, I think that's Liz there. The next Yuga isn't Satya, it's Dwapara. Some yogis think we're already in it. I've done a few videos about it. All right, I'll check that out, Crafty. Oh, I'll check that out because it already appears there's lots of different theories about what is the next Yuga and when we actually join it. Because according to Nexus magazine, it is actually the Satya or the Arya Yuga, and it starts in 2025. But I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, I hope it is 2025 because I want to make a video about it. I'd be really pissed off if I'm wrong. Okay, we have another video. This is actually reply to comments 68, and of course it is Charles Scott. Regarding your response, timestamp. This guy is obsessed. I mean, you are obsessed. You know that? Charles Scott. All right then. What's this? Is this? I'm not. I'm only going to read this because you have actually put something new. I'm actually planning on making you the star of this show, Charles. All right. Yeah. This. Okay. You have. Yes. This. You're now bringing up the whole thing about. Let's see. Is this the new thing? You said you tried to demonstrate how easy. This is right. This is Charles talking about the outer limits thing again. To demonstrate someone to fake what I'm accusing you of, you emailed me the Chris Evers Stripe account. All right, yes, okay. Right. He says, I strongly suspect this is at least in part disinformation. You said it was simple to fabricate Chris Evers' Stripe account screenshot using Windows Paint, yet you've proven to yourself you're unable to fabricate it. No, I think I did a pretty good job. And it would have been possible. I'm sure someone who knows a bit more about Photoshop would have been able to do it quite easily. Therefore, your hypothesis statement about what type of graphic software to use and how should I fabricate it is illogical and irrelevant because I presented the fact from the horse's mouth. You, Ben, not a hypothesis as you claim. All right, because I said I couldn't do it. Did I say that? Hang on. The organizer Chris Evers is claiming that he sent me an invoice. I never received it. He sent me what looks like a screenshot from his page of his payment app with my name on it. Well, I'm not going to accuse the guy of lying without proof, but I could mock up one of those on Windows Paint. Okay, and here, what's this here? Okay. Yeah, I said I could. I thought I could do it on Windows. I could tell you it was genuine because it is. Yeah, I might be lying. I might have fabricated it. These day and age, you can easily fabricate screenshots. It's very, very easy to do. Well, that's true. Charles, that's true. You can fabricate screenshots. All right. Are you telling me it would not be possible to fabricate the Stripe account screenshot? Are you telling me that would be impossible? And are you telling me that that I couldn't do that if I could be bothered to get a better type of graphic software and a better type of graphic software and put more effort into it? Are you telling me that would be impossible? And then conversely, are you telling me that the screenshot I sent to you, seeing as I seem to be incapable of fabricating Chris Evers' screenshot, yet you seem to be contradicting yourself by saying that on the other hand I have great IT skills because I could produce a screenshot of my email sent folder, and you say it's fake. Which is it, Charles? Anyway, therefore your hypothesis statement of what kind... Okay, blah-de-blah-de-blah... I've said your screenshot is fake given the actual proof and factual evidence. Well, you haven't because you said I was incapable. You claim that I'm incapable of fabricating a screenshot. Okay, what's the difference between Chris's screenshot and mine then? Explain. What's the difference? Why is Chris's screenshot impossible to fake and mine can be faked so easily by somebody who seems to be incapable of doing it because I can only muddle my way through Windows Paint? Explain that, Charles. Despite what you say, your sane and honest YouTube viewers, carefully investigating this matter, should realise all evidence is against you. Now, and your YouTube viewers' common sense will realise it is harder for Chris Evers to fabricate his Stripe account screenshot using graphic software over you deleting the email ticket invoice from your invoice before taking the screenshot. If you disagree, then you haven't got common sense. Oh, so now you're saying that I didn't fake the screenshot, but I just simply deleted it from my sent folder. Is that what you're claiming now? You're claiming that I deleted from your sent folder. Right, if you... Honestly, right, I don't know what to say. I mean, this is an unfalsifiable hypothesis. You know very well I can never prove myself innocent according to this criteria. Don't you? Well, I'll tell you what. The sane and honest YouTube viewers can make their own damn mind up. I'm getting really tired of this, Charles. Is there any other subject you want to discuss? Chris recording. Silent Night Watch Party live stream recording. Cheers, Ben. Have a lovely snooze. Thanks, Rick, and thanks for tuning in. You know, I got tired and I was a bit drunk actually there, wasn't I? Silent Night Watch Party live stream. Jack Parker. Those viewers are actually grey aliens who are those few viewers who are actually grey aliens who are able to exponentially broadcast in every direction to a large crowd of viewers. Oh, right, are they? Is that right? Jack Parker also says here on Silent Night, have you ever asked these guys if they're grey aliens? Give it a try, you might be surprised. What guys, Jack? Same video, Jack. They're going to say, well, you never asked. I don't see what that's got to do with it. We watch the internet too. Hang on. Jack, I think you're on one of your kind of... Right. Or it's just, if you go on, like, if you start going on for 20 comments, I can't read them all out. Okay, you've just got 2 more. You know, I think especially in the United States, every religion should be made into a federal holiday. I think you mean every religion should have its own special holiday, yeah. And just bumped a few of those extraneous other ones off the list as an ultimate symbolism of the country and what it represents. So merry Scientology Day. That's fine with me, Jack. The more holidays, the better. Jack Parker says Ramadan is a national holiday. Why not? Well, yeah, why not just have all of them? Yeah. I'll invent a religion, create a holiday. Okay, the Apollo Detective 11 Artemis 1, Carl Helsby says, I watched your combined conference of the moon landing. I watched your combined conference of the moon landings as faked, with interest, following along with the narrative. I want to bring up the video shown about the movie Interstellar of putting the seeds in people's mind regarding the faking of the moon landings. Oh right, yeah. I've never watched that film, but apparently there's a scene where people think the moon landings are real. So this one character thinks the moon landings are real, and everyone else thinks they're fake, and so this person has to argue that they're real. I agree with Dr. Rasav's point, but playing the female card would not represent a convincing method, introducing the previous inter-US and Soviet rivalry and the race to the moon. You know, Carl, I think maybe what I need to do is watch this film, then I'll know more. The Americans would surely have to convince themselves, being as it's many years ago, and not forgetting the loss of the actual mission tapes. Yeah, that is very suspicious. Also, the ability to convince themselves. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people who are in extremely destructive relationships, for example, who are convinced that their partner is a really loving man or loving woman. They have lost the ability to analyse their own situation. So yes, maybe Americans would need to convince themselves. And the public that America won the race. Proper ganja to the extreme being said along with moon landing to beat the Russians. So it implies that the obvious way forward... Your spelling and grammar is a little bit dodgy, Carl. I'm trying to understand you as best as I can. Maybe Elon would be left to attempt the journey successfully and also attempt to convince the public and be allowed to, and to concede the original Apollo mission's success in the eyes of the public. It could be. I mean, we're heading for a point where that NASA and Elon Musk are both claiming they're about to launch a manned mission to the moon. Yeah. I wondered why, with all the purported rumours going in space, secret space program comes to mind. Well, yeah, I mean, the secret space program got there, I'm sure. That Elon would be allowed to travel out of Earth's low Earth orbit. Maybe that's why we shall only see by the evidence if approved for the public. That's a good comment, actually, Carl. I do understand the point you're making. What's to prevent them faking it again, either with Elon Musk's assistance or just NASA doing it? I think that's perfectly possible. Apollo Detectives 11 Artemis 1. P.O. I think you mean P.O.I. I think you mean P.S. I believe they did go to the moon in 1969, but with some help. Quote-unquote, a conversation for another time and subject. Carl, I actually agree with you that they went to the moon with some help, if you mean they used the secret space program to get there. I don't think they went in 1969. I think they probably went there many years earlier, maybe even several decades earlier. Because we know the secret space program began in Nazi Germany in the 1930s. I mean, it was already quite well developed by the time Project Paperclip took place in 1945. So yeah, they went to the moon with some help. I accept that. Carl Helsby said here in same video. Dr. Rorke, I think. Oh, Dr. Rasev. I think you mean. What's his? What? I've forgotten the bloody name of the person who was on the video with me. Raza, Dr. Raza Vihari. Sorry, Raza. I'm really sorry, mate. I really am. Dr. Raza mentioned Prudo. He was assistant chairman with North American Rockwell and became involved with the US Navy, which was a singular classified assignment to oversee the production of, say, off-world vehicles craft product. He worked within think tanks initiated by Bill Tompkins. The US Navy are predominant producers of off-world craft that are still built today, a classified element of the visual US Navy. Yeah, the Navy often comes up in it. I mean, for example, the video, the alien interview video, Department of Naval Intelligence. Bob Lazar talks about the Department of Naval Intelligence. The thing is, there is no organisation apparently called that. There's an Office of Naval Intelligence, but not a department, unless the department is a classified segment of the Navy. Carl says here, in the same video, the use of carbon nitride nanotube produced in carbon-free plasma were conducted, and the results were less than equal to 1, but the possible absorption effect is not as successful. In fact, the copper inserts were producing an unknown field as far as comprehended, although the reference to radiance was observed to produce a magnetic field that would affect the layer. Further research is required to define this. I'm sure Dr. Raza would like to evaluate this. I'm sure Carl would. I mean, you use some technical language there that I don't quite follow, but yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure I'll make him aware of that. Neil Peel says on Silent Night Watch Party introduction, I used to see the Professionals actor Lewis Collins around my home village of Chalfont St Peter as a kid. I remember once seeing him parked on a double yellow lines in an old banger, like the Austin Metro or something, parked near a chemist shop. What? Lewis Collins used to drive an Austin Metro? You must be joking. He must at least have driven a Ford Capri or something better than that. Anyway, obviously getting something for the weekend, such as the professional he was. No wonder he learned how to become a train driver later. Oh, he researched a lot of his roles very, very carefully. When he was in Who Dares Wins, he actually did Special Forces training with the British Army, and he passed. I mean, he only went on the course for research, but he ended up passing, which is quite impressive. Because that really pushes you to your limits. You know, you've got to be very fit and very, very dedicated to pass that test. He did. He passed. As far as I'm concerned, he was the best James Bond we never had. Silent Night Watch Party livestream blocked. Israel Diego Vera, Genius to the Real Genius, says, you were silenced over Silent Night. Ironic. Yes, indeed. And Cosmo JD and Popcorn Boxing laugh. Tina Silver says, on Silent Night blocked, silence isn't wholly golden. Yeah, that was very annoying. I mean, even though the actual blocking of the live stream only lasted for about 24 hours, they did unblock it. It was still annoying that they did that. Marley Pumpkin, oh bloody hell, here we go. Only 20 people have watched your garbage, you MI5 agent. Well, actually, Marley, if you look at the viewing figures, they're probably several times higher than that. I know I've been shadow banned. I could still get over like 500-600 viewers within a few days. Kerry Woolley says on the same video, needs a propaganda, Ben. Yeah, I mean, talk about the Streisand effect, guys. Go and watch the live stream. Forbidden fruit. Donna Wellham puts a question mark on there. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Well, luckily it was. Luckily it didn't. It was. Yeah, it was. It was restored. Diazepam says, YouTube, you cunts. Kuntz. Yes. Crafty Knight said, are you sure it wasn't because of your jumper? The uglier the better, Crafty. Don't be the only one. Alright, Pylon Hoax. The Lights Were Low says, hi Ben, regarding the narration on the pylon video you play, first of all, our chap can't understand why the electricity isn't under roads, and then says, in all my 50 years of driving, I've never seen a new pylon being erected, unquote. He goes on later to say, quote, all new networks are buried underground, unquote. If they are now underground, then why? The more pylon carrying cable, the more free electricity, quote unquote, can be harvested in the manner he's previously explained. Just saying. Hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't have an answer for that, Lights. Yeah, I have to rewatch the video. Yeah, I put a pinned comment on Silent Night Watch Party Unblocked, which says the video has now been unblocked. Let's hope the AU, artificial unintelligence, doesn't notice it, quote unquote, again. And I put the same comment on the Silent Night live stream. Pylon hoax again. On the pylon hoax again, with the lights were low again. 39:14. Okay, timestamp.
Oh no.
So they went into it knowing it was dangerous. But man, at that time, Cold War and the Soviets.
Oh, this is this is
not on the UFO file, but on the up and up Cold War, fighting a Cold War. We had to do it, but I think the Soviets had the movies. There's some movies about it.
This is Dark Journalist with James Warner III.
Soviets had a lot of reactor problems, and probably we did too. And someone said, enough. We got to put a plasma accelerator in here. It's a lot safer, a lot less radiation. I think there's a tiny bit.
Yeah, I mean, it would. I mean, technically speaking, a lot of these free energy systems... Oh, pardon me, probably that was actually my video, yeah. From because I've studied some of the designs, would be ideal for a submarine. Not only do they not need air, so they could function just like a nuclear reactor does, or an air-independent propulsion submarine. They don't need outside air, but they wouldn't need the noisy machinery in terms of coolant pumps, condenser pipes, things like that. They wouldn't need that. They wouldn't need all these. They wouldn't need all these things that make a lot of noise. Okay. Light says, hi Ben, cancer is a serious topic, and of course no one would want to be exposed to anything that could cause it. The flip side of what Mr. Warner is suggesting is that TNWO, the New World Order government, or whoever we suggest makes the decisions on this planet, we're kind-hearted enough to think, ooh, we don't want those sailors developing cancer in later life. This meaning we'll have to pay out less of a pension. Why don't instead we install a free energy device at great expense financially, and we fought from a secret point of view? That is truly looking after your staff. If true, then what kind of employers are they? Just saying. Well, obviously, yeah, I mean, there does seem to be a contradiction here, because at one time they think we're sheeple, they want to get rid of all of us except for 500 million. On the other hand, they go to an awful lot of trouble and potentially breach the secret of free energy to protect US Navy sailors, the submariners who take these nuclear submarines to sea. It could be something to do, now, I'm not saying this is even true, but it could be something to do with problems lower down on a lower level, because of the regime implemented by Admiral Rickover when he was in charge of the nuclear submarine development program, in which he was a very caring man, and Rickover was a very caring individual. Yeah, he was a very prickly, very very unpleasant, angry man in some ways, and a lot of people didn't like him, but he believed he was doing what he did to get the job done. And he actually often said in his private memoirs how much respect he felt and how much love he felt for the men who took the ships he designed out to sea. It could be that his influence was enough to make it necessary, possibly because otherwise he would have blown the whistle himself, to get those things installed in the nuclear submarines. I don't know that specifically. That's just a theory, Lights, and it may not be true. Yeah, but you're very perceptive about these things, I know. Popcorn Boxing says on Centaur, heavy man, Centaur still around, 75 years old now. He'd be about 70 now, I think. How old was he? I don't know. He'd be about late 60s, early 70s now. He's slightly younger than my dad. He's still alive. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything will break the law, but I'm just saying he needs to stay away from my family. Let's just put it that way. I haven't seen him for years. I never want to see him again. I've discussed this with my dad. I'm trying to get him to understand. But yeah. But thanks, Popcorn. Silent Night Watch Party live stream blogs. By the way, Popcorn Boxer, I'm glad you're enjoying my old videos. This is the block one. Any amazing? Just watched a 20-minute YouTube video about a new indie movie. The new indie movie. It has so far been up for 3 weeks and has loads of clips in it. Yet we have I guess a British film that one might not have heard about other than through your channel, Ben, and some of us could have chosen maybe to go and see it, yet YouTube stuff it for some stupid reason. It does more harm than good. Exactly, Neil. And you know what? The reason I think it is simply because these decisions are not being made by people; they're being made by machines. They're being made by whatever. I don't understand who programs these things and how the artificial unintelligence comes up with these decisions, comes up with these different judgments. Because, as I said, it is unintelligence, not intelligence. But it's frustrating. Yeah, it really is frustrating. And Neil says, back on the air, thank God. Yeah, luckily, reason prevailed. Reason prevailed, luckily. And I did download it, so I could upload. I posted it on Alt Tech anyway. Right, what? This is an old video. WTF does Fermerny Serm mean? Popcorn Boxing says, Heavy Man, Isabel Menzies Lithe was in your life. Yeah, she was. But thanks. I mean, Popcorn. I'm glad you're enjoying my old videos. I really am. Yes, Isabel Menzies Lithe was kind of my step grandmother from the age of from when I was about 12 to so I left home really. I left home when how old was I? I was 22. Yeah. All right. Now Charles Scott says reply to comment 68. Charles Scott says. Goodness knows, Ben, how much more false information you give out about me and others without their knowledge, whether it be, wait for it, misinformation, disinformation, or your mental illness. Charles, you are cutting and pasting this crap, aren't you? You're cutting. Oh, here we go. And here's a timestamp. I deleted. And Woody Black, yeah, Steve Mumbling is actually not mad at me for deleting his comments. He knows very well. Oh, we've already done this one. All right then. From this onwards, I have never accused you of deleting a comment. Well, you did. You have. You said, look, I am highly suspicious you have deleted a comment. What is that? So that is not. Yeah, I am highly suspicious you have deleted a comment because I know you are a liar with a mental illness. Thanks. All right. And that's not an accusation. That is an accusation. Come on, don't get all Richard D. Hall on me, Charles. That is an accusation. It's an accusation. I know Richard does this sort of thing. He says, "Well, I never accused Linda Moulton Howe of anything. I just I suggested she was compromised." Well, no, he did. You know, we're not in some kind of American court now, Charles. You accused me of deleting a comment. I stick to the facts, so I don't see how I'm an idiot while you deviate from the facts, just like an idiot. All right, you should apologise. All right, we've read all that. Apollo 11, Detectives 11, Artemis 1, Jungle Surfer. Ooh, the Jungle Surfer is back. Artemis is Diana, all a big mooning on the public. Mooning is a very old Scott Freemason idea check with the Fergus movie Brave. Alright, Moon. Yeah, Artemis is the moon goddess. Yeah, the Greek equivalent of Diana. That's right, Jungle. How are you getting on anyway, mate? Good to hear from you again. Same video, Jungle Surfer. Crowley is the founding father of NASA Illusion. Alistair Crowley was very close to Jack Parsons, who was the principal rocket scientist of NASA in the early days. Jack Parsons was also very close to Albert Oppenheimer, who was it Albert Oppenheimer? Somebody Oppenheimer. God, I hate it. I can't bloody think of names. Oppenheimer. Robert Oppenheimer. So there was this connection. Jack Parsons considered himself the adopted son of Alistair Crowley, addressed him as my father. Yeah. So, but Alistair Crowley, who was a British occultist, did not have any direct involvement in the founding of NASA. Jungle Surfer says here again, rockets are a Thunderbird TV fantasy. I'm making him sound like Steve Mumbling, aren't I? Funnily enough, Jungle Surfer does sound like Steve Mumbling. That's a weird point. They don't steer, they can't go very high at all, and big ones are too dangerous to play with. The biggest practical rocket is 14 feet long and 15 inches wide and will go to 6,000 feet max. There's real vids of them, but they claim to go 100,000 feet. That's a huge lie. The onboard camera footage is CGI only. The distance view is real. You can see in the distance view is lucky if it goes to 6,000 feet. Rockets use their fuel very quickly. Jungle Surfer, that's not true. Now, I know a lot of NASA lie about a lot of things. Never a straight answer, but rockets are real, space is real, the Earth is round. And rockets do fly into low Earth orbit, that is perfectly possible. The International Space Station is real. I know you don't agree, but it's not Thunderbird's TV fantasy. Oh, we have popcorn boxing on an old video again, a message to Steve. Heavy man, did Steve back off? Yeah, you know, Steve, this was basically, this video was a warning to a man who was trying to worm his way back into my family's life. Popcorn boxing, funnily, I don't know specifically, but as far as I know, I've checked, my dad has not reported any meetings with Steve since that video came out, so I hope he saw it and he got the message. Thanks for watching all my old videos, I appreciate that. UFO Disclosure 2023, so is that it? Alright, this is my New Year video. So is that it? Yeah. Oh my goodness me. And you know, literally within hours of posting this video, everything bloody changed, didn't it? Diego Rivera says, so will there be disclosure in 2023? I actually wrote underneath here by text, perfect question, watch and find out. David Smith says, no. Steve Mumbling says, there's nothing to disclose, ET-wise anyway. Alright then. David Smith says to Steve, that's exactly what they want you to think, Steve. Wait until they land on the moon in full HD. They'll have to show us all the alien bases then. David, despite your sarcasm, you know, I'm going to give you a serious answer. I hope you're right. Obviously, I always hope that there is. I always hope that there is going to be disclosure in the coming year. Ironically, the only year when I predicted there'd be no disclosure was 2021, was when huge amounts of progress was made. And then it was that strange thing where that Jason Barnes article came out, and then the report was delayed. Oh, and of course we know what's happened since then. What was my last video? Jam Noise 70 says, Happy New Year, bro. Love you too, Jam Noise. Mwah. Happy New Year. And I wrote by text here, and she asked me to check out her new video, and I did. So yeah, that was pretty good. Diego Rivera says on the same video, it's good you've kept your sense of humour, Ben. What do you think the aliens think of man? Well, as it says on the Twilight Zone, I think they want to serve us. Cat Squatch returns. What's that? It's 93. Cat Squatch returns 93 in Roman numerals. They called you a dickhead in front of me. Is that what the aliens say, is it, Cat Squatch? Diego Rivera says, not good then. Diego Rivera, they have said even worse things about you, pussy face. He's got Alistair Crowley as his avatar. He's called Cat Squatch, yeah. Oh, pussy face was what they, that was the nickname for the Predator, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember. He doesn't look like a cat, but I don't have to explain it, it's American, alright. Bernie Tucker says on UFO Disclosure 2023, so is that it. Happy New Year, Ben. All the best wish. Oh, that's the end of an hour. Best wishes for the new year. Thanks very. Oops. Okay. Thanks very much, Bernie, and hope you have a happy new year too. Hope 2023 is treating you well so far. Back for hour number 3 very shortly. Okay, back. It's third hour now, and where are we? We are now we're getting through these. It's on the third hour. We're nearly at the, sort of in the last quarter of the YouTube comments. So hopefully we won't go to 4 hours again. Williamism said, Happy New Year, Ben. Thanks, Williamism. Much appreciated. The Lights Were Low said on both those, that was on UFO Disclosure 2023, so that's it. And this is The Lights Were Low saying, Hi Ben, this was referred to in the Great British UFO Hoax. Nick Frost narrated. Yeah, that's it, yeah. I'll show you it actually. Changed direction, and so the crew had to put down in Surrey. Yeah. They put down in a farmer's field, and when the police surrounded the field, and guess they stared in terror. It was a bit like the day. Was it? Right. Oh, right. The Great British UFO Hoax. I can show you. I will show it to you. But I think that is something different. Lights were low.
Weeks ago.
Shut up,
and
Clive.
I came across this flyer that's been distributed around the University of Queensland and elsewhere. Anonymous, and it says...
Right, so I'm just going to find it. Right, it's this one. It's called A Very British New UFO Hoax. There's several versions of this online. This is the one here. It's Nick Frost. This one.
The clean-up operation has gone without a hitch.
See?
The team are jubilant.
Yeah, this is what I was referring. This is what I was referring to. It's called Nick Frost's A Very British UFO Hoax. What it was basically was they created a fake UFO in the West Country and flew it over Avebury. I talk about it in this film. But what I'm talking about I talk about it in several of my videos. But what I'm talking about in UFO Disclosure 2023, so is that it? Is a very different event. This happened in 1989 in London. What we're talking about here happened, I think, in 2002 in the West Country. What lights below the video that I've just showed you happened in 2002, I think, in the West Country. But what I'm referring to happened in 1989 in London was done by Richard Branson. So it's two very different things, I believe. Donna Wellham says, Happy New Year, Ben. Happy New Year, Donna. That's on the same video. Alright, we've got a thread here on UFO Disclosure 2023. Happy New Year, Ben, says Hugo Rune, and all subscribers. Jam Noise says, Happy New Year to Hugo. Hugo says to Jam Noise, Sarah, sorry, press the wrong keys. I hope your year goes well. It's a pleasure knowing you here. This keyboard is giving me problems, or is it because I'm stoned? Sigh. Well, surely the latter, Hugo, surely the latter. The memories of getting stoned. Now I use so much, I have a tolerance and never get stoned. Sigh again. Damn this keyboard. Hugo, you are stoned. Come off it. Hugo, you are stoned, believe me. Cat's Watch says on UFO Disclosure, it will take a literal act of God to get all that UFO information released. It's buried so deep in a special access projects, compartmentalization and private corporations. Well, Cat's Watch, I'm praying with desperation. If an act of God is what's necessary, Lord, dear Lord, please give us what's necessary. Dark Corners UK says, Happy New Year, Ben. This is on the same video. Whoops, what was that? Oh, I've got to scroll down now. I just scrolled down, but I missed, what was that? Hang on, I'm scrolling down. Here we go. Right. Oh, yes. Happy New Year, Ben. First video of 2023. I can't wait to see what this year holds. Me too, Dark Corners. Same video, Dark Corners. Ben, just curious if you've ever spoken about or reacted to the Beatles About episode where a UFO landed in a lady's back garden. I remember seeing it as a kid and truly believing a real alien visitor had come to Earth. Oh, no. Oh, it was a joke. Oh, it was, where is it? Hang on. I actually wrote about it on HPANWO Voice. Let me just find it for you. Here we go. For the few of you who actually read HPANWO Voice, but I wrote about the 14th of December 2018. I wrote this article here, a UFO landing on Beatles About. There's a screenshot of the alien. It's very funny. You can read it. You can read it through here. There's the URL. You can find it. But yeah, I didn't think it was real. I knew, because of course, if it's on Beatles About, you know it's not real. Dark Corners. I mean, this is not like Ghost Watch, is it? Or War of the Worlds. Gary Robinson says, Happy New Year, mate. Happy New Year, Gary. Hope 2023 is treating you well so far. Same video. Steve Mumbling says, Happy New Year. No, he doesn't. Of course he doesn't say Happy New Year. Why would you be overjoyed if E.T. is really visiting? Why do you so desperately want all this E.T. nonsense to be true? NASA is not interested in UFO fanboys like Dolan and yourself. They know all they'll hear from him and others you mention is a lot of science fiction stories. They're interested in real evidence. Why would I be overjoyed, Steve? Because I like the idea we're part of a living universe. I don't want to believe we are I don't like this model that's been pushed down our throats by the Illuminati that, we're just this tiny little oasis of life in an infinite cosmic desert. That sounds very boring to me. And as Carl Sagan said, it's an awful waste of space. As for NASA, you're completely wrong about NASA. Bill Nelson, Senator Bill Nelson, head of NASA, he's already let slip some stuff about the classified annex of the UAPTF report. He's admitted, and it's not even a secret now, that NASA are formally investigating UFOs. They've actually said they're doing it. So, I mean, of course, NASA are interested. Maybe you didn't realise that when you wrote this comment 13 days ago, but NASA have officially involved. I mean, it's even in the report. What little they've given the public in the latest UAP report. Actually, they say NASA are involved with all this. And Steve Mumbling says on the same video, Avi Loeb says he's looking for evidence of ET. Not that he's found evidence of ET. There's certainly no harm in looking, as he rightly says. Yeah, but I think he is looking, and then indeed that's good. That's good. He's looking for evidence of ET. But he believes within Muamua he may have found it. And I think he may be right. Steve again says on the same video, there won't be, quote-unquote, disclosure in your lifetime because there's nothing to disclose. That is the truth of the matter. Steve, that sounds like the curse of Philip Klass. What's the curse of Philip Klass? The curse of Philip Klass. This is good, right? Philip J. Klass. Unpacking the Philip J. Klass UFO curse, yes. Where was it? What was it? He had this thing when he was on his deathbed. The UFO curse. Where was it? What's the actual words? I can't remember. I can't find the bloody words. Oh yeah, here we go. Here it is. Right. This is the last. This is when Philip Klass was lying on his deathbed. He said this. This is the last will and testament of Philip J. Klass. To ufologists who publicly criticise me, or who even think unkind thoughts about me in private, I do hereby leave and bequeath the UFO curse. Steve Mumbling will love this. No matter how long you live, you will never know any more about UFOs than you know today. You will never know any more about what UFOs really are or where they come from. You will never know any more about what the US government really knows about UFOs more than you know today. As you lie on your own deathbed, you will be as mystified about UFOs as you are today, and you will remember this curse. Right, well, that's already been proved wrong because, when did Klass die? I think it was sometime 2005, right? Well, since 2005, we already know a lot more about UFOs than we do now. But your own, what you say here in this comment, there won't be disclosure in your lifetime because there's nothing to disclose. That's the truth of the matter. It just reminded me of the curse of Philip Klass. And your curse will be proved as wrong as his curse. It's already been proved wrong. We know more about UFOs now than we did in 2005. Conscious Citizen, that's a good name, says on Oxford Snowballs. All right, this is an old video here. Could you leave, dear Ben? Could you leave the link to your friend Ellis's channel? Thanks. That's Ellis Taylor, and I did. I let him the link to Ellis Taylor's channel. UFO Disclosure 2023. So is that it? Snarnock says, there will never be a presidential disclosure when governments are owned by unelected lobbyists, WEF members, central banks, etc. The aliens would probably just show up everywhere instead. Snarnock, it could be that is how it'll happen. It'll be the aliens themselves, their own behaviour that will disclose. But, to be honest, I mean, what they've done so far really ought to be enough. I mean, a million people in Phoenix, Arizona in 1997 saw a large wedge-shaped object flying over their city. I mean, if that's all not quite as good as landing on the White House lawn, but goodness me, it's close enough. But as I said in one of my videos, they would, if something crashed in the middle of a city, they would say it was a bouncy castle. I think it was my Knots Roswell video. But you're right about the presidential disclosure when unelected lobbyists, WEF members, central banks, etc. own the government. However, they're not. It could be that the ownership of the government they have is slipping. there's a few squatters moving in, and there's some thieves. UFO Disclosure 2023, so is that it? And TK says, no thanks. No thanks. What, is that it? No thanks. All right. Silent Night Watch Party live stream. Popcorn Boxing says, oh, well done, Ben. Copyright ban lifted. And I say by text, thanks, PB. Marley Pumpkin says, an Inferno watch stroke read party introduction. Marley Pumpkin says, no one is interested in your, and leaves a poo emoji. And, well, Marley, you are, aren't you? At least one person is interested in what I do, because it's you. You watch avidly every single minute I upload, don't you? This is Inferno again, the Crafty Nihilist. Oh, this is the Crafty Nihilist video, which I've talked about before. It's really, I don't need to read this out. This is really good. This is really, and Jam Noise loves it too. It's great. It's. I love this video that they've done. You can find it on their channel. I've already showed it to you. Diego Rivera says on Inferno, Dante goes into the underworld. Yes, he does. Maybe reading the Divine Comedy is a good idea. As well as doing this, because I'm suggesting a watch-read party for 2 book-stroke films that are inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy. One is What Dreams May Come, the other is Inferno by Dan Brown. Yeah. Tessa111 says, read and saw both. Kind of wondered if Dan Brown has some info that he was slipped to plot out the last 5 years. Tessa, you were getting ahead of ourselves here, but yeah, I mean, the ending of the book? I mean, I hope you'll take part in the live stream and review, Tessa, because the ending of Inferno is like nothing I've ever seen from Dan Brown before. Very different from the film, as you know. Right, this is Ghost Watch 30 live stream, and the lights were low, and says on here 1:22:18. Right, we've got a timestamp. You don't hear much about Billy, actually. I think sadly Billy died. I think it's very sad. All right, yeah, this is the other brother. This is the third sibling. Hi Ben, I'm not sure if I'm the only one that thinks this, but aside from the sound of the voice, if we concentrate more on what's being said, the words, the construction of the sentences, and how the ghost replies, quote unquote, ghost replies to the questions, it looks like a child speaking, answering and talking. What I mean is there's a distinct lack of maturity in what you hear. If this was written down and moved out of context for somebody to read and analyse, I would suspect that if asked to give an approximate age to the person speaking in the text, child, teenager would be the answer. As I recall, the ghost speaking is an adult. The girl is just a conduit. Therefore, this should not be the case. Well, certainly in that particular clip from Nationwide, it does look a bit... Firstly, people have noticed how Janet is sort of smirking a little bit. The ghost has exactly the same exactly the same North London accent as she has. And yeah, it's now this doesn't account for the other evidence. If you look at the work that Gross and Playfair did, the tapes that they made, which they recorded at other times, that doesn't fit with the idea that Janet and Margaret were just making it up. Yeah, that Nationwide TV show, it could be that it does look a bit suspicious, doesn't it? Inferno, Warbabe 1950 said read all his books, all brilliant. Oh, nice one. This is the third one I've read of Dan Brown, and like I say, Da Vinci Code I loved. The other one, what's it called? Oh, bloody heck. I hate it when I can't think of his name. What's it called? Angels and Demons. Angels and Demons I didn't like, but Inferno, well, I did enjoy it actually, and as I said, the ending made me go, what? WTF? Okay, What Dreams May Come, watch read party introduction, Dark Corners first. Ah, well done, Dark Corners. You get there first again. Gary Robinson said on the same video, evening Ben mate, pausing Richie Allen to listen to this while working, cheers. Gary, am I upstaging Richie Allen? My goodness me, that is praise indeed. Enjoy. You can always watch the recording, can't you? Tessa111 said on What Dreams May Come, pretty digital stuff. Story was left behind. Didn't care for the film. Rather like The Fountain. Well, I've never seen The Fountain. What's that? The Fountain. I've read a book called The Fountainhead. The Fountain, a Russian film. Epic romantic drama film. Right. Elements of fantasy, history, and science. Right. This looks quite good. Sorry, American, not Russian. Good. Yeah, okay, right. This looks quite good. Alright, I'll leave it for now, but that looks quite good. Pretty... didn't care for it, rather like The Fountain. Right, I've not seen The Fountain, but yeah. But thanks, Tessa. The story, like I said, I haven't read the book yet, so I'll let you know what the book's like later. Marley Pumpkin, oh, bloody heck, on What Dreams May Come. More bullshit from you, and there's 5 vomiting emojis, which you watch avidly, don't you? Why do we always come here? I guess we'll never go. John Nolan says on What Dreams, maybe Brian Cox knows where we go when we die. Well, he probably goes, oh, knobbers, you're all knobbers. There is a heaven for scientists, but not for knobbers like you. Probably something like that. If he has any kind of spiritual idea, and he doesn't, I think he's an atheist or skeptic. But if he ever did, that's what he would say. Kerry Woolens. Kerry Woolley says, D-ream on. Brilliant, Kerry, brilliant. What Dreams May Come. Claire, Cosmic Claire, loved the movie. Yeah, it was great, wasn't it, Claire? I loved it too. I remember I showed it to my partner at the time, now Sue Ostain. She's not easy to impress when it comes to films. There's like a collection of about 5 films she watches over and over again. And I showed this to her, and she actually enjoyed it. She thought it was good, so that's quite something. It's very rare I get her to like a new film. Martin Taylor says on What Dreams... Have you heard you on the Kev Baker tribute stream, Jimmy Jean weekend? Great, Ben, with all your sentiments all the way. Excellent. Thanks, Martin. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was on Kev Baker's memorial stream. That's right. Team Humanity says, what? Kev died? Oh dear. Okay, I'm not gonna read the rest of this. But Team Humanity, Martin Taylor, and he has a conversation about Kev passing away. I'm not going to read that out. Team Humanity says on What Dreams. I tend to do the book or the film and not both, as films tend to ruin books. Yeah, me too, yeah. I don't have any choice in this case, but yeah. I didn't know it was a book before I watched the film. I saw this film in the cinema when it first came out. It was very odd and didn't make much sense to me at the time. Would be interesting to watch it again all these years later. It could be, Team, yeah, because books, what I find is when you watch something, when you read a book which you haven't read or watched for a long time, it's never how you remember it. You know, this is like the conflation, which skeptics try to explain as the Mandela effect, wrongly, I think. Crafty Nihilist. Oh, that says that Twilight Zone scared the crap out of me. Yeah, that was yes. So the button was that the button one, or was it the one with William Shatner on the plane with the gremlin crawling on the wing? Yeah, they both were pretty scary actually. Yeah, they both were pretty good. Crafty says here, Ben, you should do watch parties on Twilight Zone episodes. Excellent idea, Crafty. Yes. And same video, Duel, brilliant film. This is Crafty Nihilist on the same on What Dreams. I think it's about shadow work, young subconscious ideas. Excellent. Yes, I think this may be why my mum liked it, because of course my mum was trained as a psychologist. She was a mature student as a psychologist. Because she I don't remember exactly what she said, but she really enjoyed that film Duel, Steven Spielberg's Duel. She said it was like it was about paranoia and about how it could be that this was some kind of tulpa created by this guy David Mann. This very ordinary. He's called David Mann. He's the most ordinary man in the world. Dennis Weaver's character, the central character of the film. Because I mean, there's that strange. Do you remember when he's at the petrol station, he's actually phoning home and he has a conversation with his wife, and his wife complains about a friend of his that his friend tried to rape her. and they have that conversation, and it could be this is actually is a tulpa. See, this is the kind of thing that's the author. What's his bloody name? Oh. Richard Matheson. It's what he would have loved. He loved that kind of thing. Kev Baker R.I.P. is an old video from last year when Kev died. And Feminem has put a load of love hearts and things here, which is very, very sweet. Because of course it was the anniversary of Kev's death, and I did make a tribute video at the time. What dreams may come, Hugo Rune says. I would press the button, wink, smiley face. Really, Hugo? Really? Oh, that's something to bring up maybe in the discussion. But you know, how many of you would press the button just out of interest? You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about Richard Matheson's button story. Did you? Who was Twilight Zone episode? I would not press that button. Or at least I hope I wouldn't. If I did, I'd be ashamed of myself. I think, you know, it's. Crafty says on reply to comment 64, Snow Brown and the 7 average size men. Oh, oh dear! That's the woke Snow White I think you're talking about there, aren't you? The woke Snow White, yeah. Reply to comment 64, the Crafty Nihilist. It's a timestamp. 3008, what's this? So you know what they say, 50 is the new 60, yeah. Slaxer says 30. Oh, 8. I hope not. Oh, 16. I thought you said 60. No, I said 60. I meant 60. UAP Report 2022 live stream. This is my most recent video. Diego Rivera says, what was your conclusion at the end? Well, Diego Rivera, why didn't you watch the video and find out? I mean, just forward wind it to the last half hour if you want. Steve Mumbling said, Ben won't believe anything unless it confirms his belief in E.T. visiting. E.T. is visiting. He sees no evidence, so in his mind, everything is covered up or suppressed. I see no evidence, so I see science fiction stories. Okay, not true, Steve. Firstly, I'd make an effort to be as rational as possible about this. I believe there is evidence for E.T. There's also evidence that it's been suppressed by the government. That's not just something I don't agree with, and when I see no evidence, it's just suppressed. I've explained to you why I think this in several comments I've made to you, and indeed reply videos I've made to you. So I've made dedicated reply videos to you on this subject more than once. Also, many, many times I've replied to you on these comments reply videos. Steve back, UAP Report, live 2022 live stream. As suspected from the latest US government report, alien update, so far no aliens. The report does not include the word alien. Well, of course it wouldn't, Steve. Of course it wouldn't include the word alien. They use things like UAP. You know, this is why they used UAP. Why do you think they don't say UFO anymore? Because they want to be associated with sensible people who don't believe in aliens. They don't want to be associated with people like me. This is why they said UFO. The UFO was created for the same reason as I explained it was the Robertson panel in 1952 created the term UFO, so they wouldn't be associated with loonies who said flying saucer. Now we've come full circle. UFO is the loony. The loonies have culturally appropriated UFO, so now they're saying flying saucer. They're not going to say alien, are they? Especially not in a public released introduction, which is essentially all that was. But weeks before the report was released, journalists asked 2 senior officials whether their work had turned up any anomalies that might signify beings visiting from outer space. Quote, at this time the answer is no. We have nothing, said Ronald Moultrie, the Undersecretary of Defence for Intelligence and Security. He later added, we have not seen anything that would lead us to believe that any of the objects that we have seen are of alien objects, if you will. Told ya, it's official, nothing to disclose. Right, Steve. I can't believe you actually think that 2 journalists approaching Conkerhead and asking him, hey, come on, Ron, come on, tell us about the aliens. And you actually expect him to reveal the truth, even if he knows it? You actually believe him to do that in that situation, just in an interview with a journalist? How can you be that naive, Steve? You actually take his word at this. This is unbelievable. Of course, there's nothing else he can say. I mean, you see, the answer. He says at this point the answer is no. We have nothing. We have not seen anything. But that also contradicts what the witnesses say. People like David Fravor, Lou Elizondo. Come on, Steve. You've got to realise Ronald Moultrie is not like Lou Elizondo. He's not going on Tucker Carlson. He's not. He still works for the Ministry, the Department of Defence. Maybe when he retires, or if he decides to leave himself and rough it as a civilian ufologist, maybe you'll hear more from him. Maybe you'll hear more from the big shiny chestnut under the studio lights, and he'll be more honest and he'll be more open, like Lou Elizondo was. But look, give the guy a break. He's in his position. What else can he say? Same video, Steve mumbling. Burroughs, spelt wrong, worked on a nuclear base. He most likely got irradiated when guarding a nuclear weapon with faulty shielding. Aliens would be far too advanced to operate vehicles that spewed out radiation. None of the other witnesses suffered radiation issues. Well, firstly, yes, they did. Larry Warren did. Secondly, Burroughs got much closer to the object than Peniston. He literally, I can't remember if he touch it. He certainly got very close to it. I think he put his hand on it at one point. But also Burroughs was armed, which could have been a factor. Also, the weapons storage area has detectors in it to make sure the nuclear weapons are not leaking any radioactive material. The men who work with it wear personal detectors. If there was any risk of being irradiated from a nuclear weapon, it's very, very unlikely because the detectors would all fail. So there. Same video, mumbling. Mellon quotes credible sources, but doesn't claim to have first-hand evidence. In other words, he believes what he's being told. His sources very obviously aren't credible, or they would have shown him the evidence, but he chooses to believe them because he is a UFO fanboy. Oh, right, okay, so the journalist goes up to Ronald Moultrie. Ronald Moultrie denies there's any aliens, right? Steve Mumbling believes them. Chris Mellon also approaches a source within the Department of Defense and says, yes, there are aliens. Steve Mumbling doesn't believe him. Come on, Steve, which is it? And I mean, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, yes, but these are anomalous sources that Mellon could have made up. Yes. And Ronald Moultrie could have made up his reply. Oh, you're doing a Charles Scott on me now, mate. You are. Steve Mumbling, Professor Simon Holland isn't a professor. He's also not very smart. Most of what he comes out with is absolute rubbish. Steve, it's not often I agree with you, but I do in this case. Holland, actually, I think I brought this up on a previous UFO disclosure video. Holland, when he saw the writing on the wall, he started making a few little hints that he was moving up the starting grid. He's a lot more sort of savvy than Mick West or Cox. And of course, he actually looks like he looks like what he is, doesn't he? I'll just show you a picture of him if you've not seen him. Professor Simon Holland. All right, look at him here. Look at him here. Here he is. Right, now have a guess. This guy's a scientist, isn't he?
So, is there a subsea entrance to RAF McCartney?
Yes. Well, I don't know, but there might be. There might be. So he does look like a scientist. John Nolan says underneath, but Brian Cox is a professor. Yeah, Brian Cox is also a fucking cockhead. UAP Report 2022 live stream, Snarnock. A government that is full of corruption, lies and funded by unelected billionaire lobbyists. Is this outcome any surprise? None whatsoever, Snarnock. None whatsoever. Unfortunately, I mean, I just hope that all we can hope for is that more sensible heads prevail. We'll say that much, and that whoever is controlling these institutions is I hope these institutions are handed over to more sensible people. I'll say that much. Just remember what I hope will happen in France. Snarnock also says here, I actually put a text reply to him because he said here, 3 out of 8 comments here so far remain hidden. When I select sort by newest first, the 3 hidden comments appear. Maybe the comments are hidden when certain keywords are used. I said, could be. I said, I've just checked the spam folder. There are none there. I've set the filter at the lowest level. That's all I can do. So this is what I asked Steve, people like Steve Mumbling who go on about this. Max Q, who's now rage quit. Charles Scott, this, come off it, guys. Please give me a break. I am not deleting your comments. Okay, now we go on to BitChute. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through the most recent uploads. Then I'm going to do it slightly different. I'll go through the most recent uploads. Then I will go to the comments sections. Okay, this is reply to comments 68. This is something experimental with BitChute I've not tried before, but I just thought it might be nice. Reply to comments 68. No comments. Mayan calendar. One comment here from Melvin Sherman. All right. Hello, Melvin. Okay, let me just click pause on there, because get autoplay with BitChute. Why do I feel like after 2012 the Mayan calendar sort of happened, but not in a way that thing? Like all major, yes, that's my point, Melvin. Like all the major SJW stuff and woke come mostly after 2013. Yeah, good point. There's some like Mrs. Sarkeesian and Lacey Green. Yeah, that's the Gamergate people and. Lacey Green is like she's an MRA now. She's sort of like turned coat, hasn't she? But going insane thing and cultural Marxist shit with sort of thing was before, and thing Trump and Brexit so much shit. So your spelling and grammar's not very good, Melvin. But I get the point you're making, and I totally agree. This is my entire point. The 2016 effect. Silent Night Watch Party live stream. I got a lot. I got a mark on my. Is that a mark on my? Yeah, it's a mark on my monitor. Okay. Oh, I've got loads here. Hang on. Take pause. Got loads here. Let's see. Oh God, there's loads. It's Michael Mason Wells has put loads on here. It's all for greater I word. I can't say that word on YouTube. We'll help understand why Rothschilds and something else created I with the help of I word, with the help of the US government, Balfour Declaration, to try and destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque and build a third Temple Mount for their Messiah Antichrist, as they did not accept Isa, Muslims and Christians did. And there's a whole load of links here. Oh my goodness. Right. Let's have a look here. God, blimey. Alright, Michael Mason Wells has posted about 6 comments on this video, which are all cut and paste jobs and a huge number of links and massive amounts of text. So if you don't, I'm not going to read those right now, Michael, if you don't mind, but I'll read them later. Okay, so that's it. UFO Disclosure 2023. Oh, we got Val371. Right, hit pause. Val37115 says, how about this? There is no disclosure. There is no UFO wreckage, no new info that hasn't been heard already. There are no UFOs held in a bunker deep below the Nevada, New Mexico desert because there's not one person that has any real useful info. Nothing. Just more blurry photos, the usual. You're wrong, Val, about all that. This is something I've looked into. I've looked into the null hypothesis. And I think it's wrong. And I explain why in this video and many others in this series and many others as well. I mean, I do suggest you look through my UFO. Go to the link. Tell you what, go to the link in the description box of this video, and you'll find a link to my UFO disclosure portal and my free energy portal. And I suggest you go there and have. There's a few 5-minute reads, not all long videos. There's some 5-minute reads and stuff like that. You'll find very informative. Oh, what's that? Who's this? Okay. Somebody's just texting me. Okay, Inferno Watch Party, Read Party. No comments. What Dreams May Come, a Watch Read Party introduction. Oh, Melvin Sherman. Oh, Melvin Sherman is here. Alright. Of course. I always liked Richard Matheson. Never saw the movie. Oh right. Well, Melvin, feel free to join in with the watch party. And like I said, I recommend reading the book first, as always. Read book, then watch movie. So let me know what you think. I mean, in the next couple of months, I will be. I'll leave it at least 2 months before I do the review. So feel free to take your time. Right, and finally, a UAP Report 2022 live stream. And we got Colour Killer. And Colour Killer says, anyone that trusts military politicians or bureaucrats is the same one that trusts used car dealers. I partly agree with you, Colour Killer, but the military politicians, bureaucrats, especially the military, I think might be in the hands of the white hats. So there's a battle going on for control of those institutions, and there are good guys involved too. So if that's the case, then we can't afford to miss that opportunity. Which means if white hats appear to be winning this battle, we have to get behind them. NASA is a quasi-military based on Nazis from Peenemünde. Not quasi, completely military, completely based on the Nazis from Peenemünde. We know that. Hermann Oberth, all the others, the designers of the V2 and V1 rocket, the Werner von Braun, yeah, totally. Military can do. Here he goes. Military can do lots of strange things. Here in Norway, they did a grave robbery of Russian soldiers, but it turns out most of them was Polish. It was secret, but was caught red-handed. Right, that's interesting. That's not unlike the Katyn Forest massacre, which of course happened in Poland. But I didn't know about that. They had a grave robbery of Russian soldiers. It turned out most of them were Polish. It was a secret, but caught red-handed. Maybe it's because something happened maybe the Norwegians, when they were under German occupation, massacred some Polish people. They didn't want it known, so they pretended they were Russians or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's BitChute out the way. Now we move on to Odyssey. Now did I have any? Let me just check my notes, because if I'd had an Odyssey comment from before the comments period began, I would have made a note of it. It looks like I haven't. No, it looks like I haven't. So I'm going to go through all the uploads that I've done since the last comments reply video. Oops. I've got some. Oh, bloody hell. I have a large number. Oh dear, I have a very large number of old videos. Oh dear. Oh, I've been. Yes, these are videos that I have been. It's a long story, but basically I've been doing backups. I've been backing up my catalogue. Okay, reply to comment 68. I found the bottom of the tree now. So here we are. Reply to comment 68. One comment. As Pride and Dignity stop the New World Order, and it is at We Win. See this? Question mark. Are you asking? Who are you asking? And what are you suggesting we see? Anyway, okay. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're talking about that, Mayan calendar live stream. Three comments, right? Okay. He always says that, and I know 3 comments. Diego Rivera has asked the same question he asked before. 2023. Will this be the year of disclosure? Oh, I hope so, Diego Rivera, but I don't know. Trust Nobody says, hi Ben, thanks for all the fascinating videos during 2022. Enjoy the holes and the very best of health and happiness for the new year. And the third comment was me texting a reply to him, which was, oops, hang on. Which was, thanks TN, glad you enjoyed them. More coming in 2023. Happy Christmas. So, thanks Trust Nobody. Thank you for all your comments on Odyssey. I do appreciate it. And Diego Rivera, of course, is over there too. Silent Night Watch Party review. No comments. UFO Disclosure 2023. So is that it? Oh, I forgot to do the BitChute notifications, I'll go back and do those. Don't worry. Okay. And here we have Trust Nobody again, who says, I can imagine a great deal of public indifference to some major political leader spilling the beans about the presence of alien craft in our skies, because many people will say they've been visiting us for many decades. And no matter how much governments have obfuscated and outright lied, our atmosphere must be riddled with swamp gas and temperature inversions. Yes, as Mr. Spock might say, I know what I know. I'll take the word of airline pilots who have reported craft that's well beyond any known technology of ours, even though they knew they'd probably get grounded and ridiculed. For example, JAL flight 1628 in 1986, yes, where a 747 cargo plane flying over Alaska encountered 2 UAPs. A captain with over 10,000 hours is grounded and flies a desk for years as punishment for speaking about the press about the incident. Only serves to prove his case. That's Captain Terahuchi, yeah, very brave man. One of the UAPs was over a mile across. He called it a UFO, and with his experience, I'll assume he knew a weather balloon or lenticular cloud when he saw one. I bloody hope so, Trust Nobody, or I swear I'll never fly again. Have a healthy and happy 2023, Ben. Thanks, mate. Same to you. Simon Boyle says, Happy New Year, Ben. Happy New Year, Simon. Happy New Year to you too. Right, Inferno. One comment, and it's from someone called Don't Have Vids. Okay. I love your style. Oh, bless him. He spells style like the thing you climb over a fence with. But it's late, and I look at this late. Look, I think at least I look at this later. Fact, you got summit to say. Goog knit happy knit year till morrow. Love resect. Best wishes. Got a head act. Taki care. That sounds quite. I don't know what that means, but it sounds very nice and friendly. So thank you. Don't have it. Happy New Year. Okay, right now we're going to have to. Oh, now we've got the bloody. Now we've got all the back. We've got the backlog to do. I don't know why they just suddenly appeared at the top of the list. Maybe because. Oh, sod this! I'm going to go to the. I'm going to go to the HPANWO. This is why I have the HPANWO TV blog, guys. This is why I have it. Okay, so all right. Oh, did someone? Did I do this? Did I do the live stream? Silent Night live stream? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay, so Inferno I've done. Right. What Dreams May Come. Odyssey. Yes, guys, this is why I... Introduction, no comments. And finally, UAP live stream. One comment. Schultz. One comment. It's from Israel Diego Rivera. Oh, it's Diego Rivera. And he asks, are aliens real, yes or no? Yes, Diego Rivera. You knew I was going to say that, didn't you? All right, guys. Now on to no. I've got to go back to BitChute and do the notifications. Okay. So here we go. So if there's any that appear, these notifications mean that I can access people who've put comments on videos that are older than the most recent ones. Which means if someone's put one on an old video, I'll find it and I'll be able to reply to it. Did anyone see Ian McGilchrist? He was on John Mungle's Theory of Everything. Oh, he did a great one, Kurt. He did like an 8-hour New Year live stream. It was really good. He called it a Tonanza, and he had all the UFO guys on there as well. Okay, this will take a couple of minutes because I've got to scroll down through about 400 of these buggers. But oops, was that one? No, it wasn't. Luckily, the comment notifications are larger than the new video notifications, so it's like a slightly bigger red tic tac. than the new video notifications. Ah, here we go. Died suddenly review. Right. Here we go. Right. Joe Tuber says. Oh, Joe Tuber's put 2 on, I think. Yes, Joe Tuber's put 2 comments on here. He says here. Oh, it's quite a long one here. Now, let me put some comments. Let me put a reply notification there. By the way, did you notice last year magneto effect of a VV arm? Yes, I did. It's weird because they put a magnet near the site. I could not believe this to be true. Yeah, I didn't believe it was true at first. Right, this is a very long. I can't read all this, guys. I can't read all this, Joe. I'm sorry. But to focus on the magnet thing, I thought that was apocryphal at first. I thought that's got to be an exaggeration, but I saw it being done. And I saw there were like proper doctors and things doing it. It's only on the site where the procedure takes place, and it clears after a few hours. But how the hell is that possible? Well, thanks for your comment, Joe. You put on another one, didn't you? Put on. Oh, where's your other? You put on another comment as well. Is it just a? What's this? Right. Thanks very much for these comments. I'll put one on here as well. But I can't read them all out. I'm sorry. They're here for people who want to read them, Joe. But these are about. There's loads here. There's so much here. I can't read these out. I'm sorry. Okay, so right. Oh, we got a Silent Night Watch Party review as well. Another old one. It's Mervyn Sherman again. Who says here, no, with Illuminati is the Bavarian Illuminati. That's true. I think Bavarian Illuminati is the Illuminati. There is no other Illuminati. No, you're wrong there. You're wrong, Melvin. Or the Freemason come before Illuminati. That's what I meant. The Freemasons go back to the Middle Ages. If you've ever reborn in blood, they evolved out of the cathedral builders. The Freemason history come before the Illuminati, and Adam Weishaupt was the creator of was inspiration. That was in 1776. Yeah. I did not read Holy Blood, Holy Grail, but what I heard from Wikipedia is not true. In fact, some got. Don't debunk it later life. Again, I don't 100%, but was proved to be a lie. It was a con, was fake or a lie, unlike the Illuminati or Knights Templar or Freemason. Yes, there is a con man. His name is Pierre Plantard, and is not truthful, real. No. I know Tony Robinson did a supposed debunking of it, but there are now books debunking the debunkers on the Rennes-le-Château mystery. I do think there's something to it. I don't have all the details, but if you watch the original Arena program from, I think it was from 1973 or something with Plantard, it's not all debunked. The Priory of Sion is real. With the secret society is always my favourite kind of conspiracy theory in real life or fiction. One problem I always wonder, why are them evil? With Freemasons, every single comment from a YouTube video is like, my grandfather was a Freemason, he's nice guy, something like that. And I am not talking about Propaganda Due. Propaganda Due was the Italian Masonic lodge that was behind the death of several people, Roberto Gelli and Pope John Paul I. And I think George Washington and Statue of Liberty, just like old Freemason, it was Freemason asking some guy, the guy probably would. The guy would probably. And another example with the whole secret society, like Skull and Bones. I think there are some secret about them George Bush family. How George Bush family. Yeah. So you're not very coherent here, but I know what you're saying, Melvin. George W. Bush was in the Skull and Bones Society, yes. But a rich college club, and is Skull and Bones of the evil group. What about Scroll and Key Society and Wolf's Head Society and other college clubs? I mix with whole secret society thing. Melvin, there are loads of there are so many college fraternities of various kinds. They've got them here in Oxford. You know, Boris Johnson and there was the Bullingdon Club, which Boris Johnson was involved in, which is just a silly dining club. They do stupid things. But some are more sinister than others. The Skull and Bones is different. But anyway, thanks for that comment. And nice, that's Silent Night. Died suddenly. Scrolling down a bit further. New comment on Silent Night. All right, that's just me. Oops.
So the big nothing. Literally nothing.
Oh, so I just accidentally. Okay, I've got to scroll back down again now. Sorry, guys. I hit a new video notification by mistake. Sorry about that. So down we go again, down the list. All right, I'm nearly done. This is going to be how long? I've got 8 minutes left, and it'll be in the third hour. So this is going to be. It's going to be less. I think it's going to go over 3 hours. Maybe just over 3 hours. I might not bother. I might not bother. Oh, here we go. La-di-blah. Down we go. Oop, comment. Right. Oh, sorry, I missed it. Sorry, I missed a comment. I've seen it now. Good job. I had to re-scroll. Why I still support Boris. Okay. Right. This is from Melvin. Here we go. This is Melvin again. Sorry for the rumble, Ben. Johnson is kind of interesting, even the whole view UK Conservative right-wing mostly male versus the one. The weird thing with me is most UK Conservative versus Conservative. I'm not sure what that means. Compared to Trump, Johnson seems more nice guys personality-wise. I don't trust his politics. No, Boris Johnson could have been Britain's Trump, but he lacks the maturity, he lacks the self-discipline, he lacks the courage. I've changed my mind so much since I made this video, Melvin, I really have. I always not all UK Conservative male to be nice old friendly fellow who might racist that person's seen a nice guy, like Johnson or Andrew Neil or Anthony Burgess. Anthony Burgess, the writer. He, Thather and Churchill. Oh right, you're talking about the spy, Guy Burgess. He did have a meeting with Churchill, yeah. AKA his 1980... Sorry, mate, you're breaking up here now. Was big on gay people, some anti-immigration. It remind Guy that I creator named Matthew Warren, who based my Bioshock villain in it, and he talk their part of him. He talk conservative stereotype. And he said the UK mostly right conservative male are nice, friendly, polite, racist. Well, the American US conservative, again, he meant in stereotype sort. Gun, Turing, murder, moron. Female, blonde, Republican sex kitten. With mostly, and UK conservative are which? AKA Mary Wright, White House, and Margaret Thatcher. I'm trying to decipher what you're saying, Melvin. Are you saying that? I think you're saying that conservative women in America are more attractive than they are here in Britain, and I don't think that's 100%. It all depends on taste, personal taste. Although I don't think Theresa May was my cup of tea, but nor Margaret Thatcher. Anyway, thanks. I'm sorry I missed you the first time round. Okay, jet fuel hoax. Oh, who's this? This is a new one, a new comment by. God, I've got to go back a long way here. Where is it? Now, this is by someone called Citizen Vulgar. Where are you then, Citizen Vulgar? Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, it's highlighted. That's good. Not saying that one. Okay, not saying the theory is real at all, but the idea that a conspiracy can't be kept afloat because people are bad at keeping secrets is rather humorous to me, considering how many criminal conspiracies are constantly going on at large all around us every single day. I agree. I mean, I do make this point in the film, I think, Citizen Vulgar, about how it is possible for large numbers of people to keep secrets tacitly, shrugging their shoulders, looking the other way, open secret, etc. But I think the jet fuel hoax pushes that explanation really to its well over its extreme. In fact, they are open crimes that average people accept as totally normal, even when you explain it in detail to them. In my opinion, this idea that it just can't be kept secret is a flawed approach to disproving any speculation on criminal activity. Just because most people think a certain way or know certain details that others do not does not mean the original crime wasn't committed. You know, I agree with you in theory, Citizen Vulgar, and of course this could be applied to many things, such as the moon landings. But with the jet fuel hoax, you're talking about millions of people. You're talking about engineers. You're talking about people who design them and build them, and there's written books about them. You're talking about in lots of countries: Germany, United States, Canada, Britain. It's Whitty in, the Whitty Arch in Coventry. I mean, really, it takes fantastic explanations to suggest the jet fuel hoax is simply a product of open secret. But thanks for the comment, and thanks for writing coherently. Okay, scrolling down again. I'm going to keep a more careful eye this time. I would have, if I hadn't gone back and had to re-scroll, I'd have missed those comments. Mustn't scroll too fast. You guys don't mind waiting, do you? Alright, I've reached the end now. I've reached the end. I'll just do a quick scroll up really fast so I don't miss it. Just want to double check. I don't want to... Oh, what's that? That was... Oh, that's the ones I've just been looking at. Oh, I'm just really focusing now. I must want to say big thank you to Ray at BitChute for everything he's done. They've had a whole lot of problems with finance and stuff like that. It's been awful. The bloody bank, they tried to do a Laura Towler on her with the bank account. Bastards, absolute bastards. But he's stood firm, and he's really improved the platform no end with these notifications. Are fantastic. Right, oh, there's new comments. Oh, that's just me. Okay, so now I'll do the usual. Mark all as read. Delete all. Okay. So now Rumble. Now the problem with Rumble is I've uploaded a massive amount from my back catalogue, a huge amount, which means I can't really go to the various videos that I have. I can't really go to all the various videos. Hang on, I'm just going to do this quickly because I think I'm going to get in there before it does. I'm actually just changing the timestamp because literally the alarm's going to go off in less than a minute. And oh, sorry, 1 minute 41, and I want to be ready with I'm not going to stop filming just for the last couple of minutes. But what I've noticed is I am getting notifications from Rumble on my email, which is very helpful. I've actually let me just put it in here. Someone did actually put a comment on it was actually one of my old videos. Where is it? It's currently subscribed. So I'm just going to go through these. This is actually, oh yeah, Rumble. Charlie 1066, that's it. Nuclear fusion power. This is actually an old video I made years ago, sometime in the bloody, I think it was like around 2010. And so he has put a comment on it suddenly. So I'm just going to go through. Oh right, someone's posted a comment. All right, here we go. Right, so I will just open. I'm just going to open these videos that have these comments on because I get notifications through email. So I'm just concentrating on these notifications through email. And people are posting comments on these old videos that I made long ago, and I'm backing up currently on Rumble. I'll go back until I get to when the last... Okay. Sorry, I'm not speaking. I don't like dead air. It's just I need to focus now. I need to concentrate. Oh, by the way, I mispronounced somebody's name in my previous. I talked about the Gillibrand amendment. It's Kirsten Gillibrand. The reason I always pronounce Kirsten Gillibrand's name Kirsten Gillibrand is I'm thinking of James Gilliland of the East Setty Ranch. So I apologise to Kirsten if she's watching. I won't have to do this every single video. Okay, I won't have to do this every single time. Whoop, that's the end of a... Okay, I'll get rid of that. I won't have to do this on every single comments reply video. It's only now because I've done all these backups. That's the only reason I've done these backups. Oh, and I've come to the end. 28th of September. Right, okay. Just go to my... Just check... LinkedIn... I'm just checking my emails. I'm not bloody... No, I'm not. It's on screen share. Okay. So basically this means that I'll go to the comments I have on Rumble. So Charlie 1066 said, and I did actually put a reply to him. When I was attending engineering school during the first half of the 1960s, they told us just 13 more years and we'll have cheap electric power produced by nuclear fusion power plants. Since then, they've told us several times just 20 more years. Accordingly, I believe this is when such power plant is actually delivering. I believe this when such a power plant is actually delivering electricity to power our grid. Yes, I agree. But it's a kind of running joke, and I said this among critics of nuclear fusion. It's always 20 or 30 years in the future. And I think I think conventional fusion research is actually a massive white elephant, and it's a distraction as well to a totally obsolete and it's totally obsolete when you consider far more cheap and simple practical free energy methods that are being covered up. Which, I mean, I don't have to reiterate what I've said about free energy there, do I? Right, this is an old video, US presidential election 2016, and this is someone called... I can't actually read them because something's in the way. There's actually it says T here. It's in the way. I don't know what it says here. Looks like she's taking everyone down with her. She's a POS lifetime failure, a victim yet an adulterous, a desensitized, embittered, ugly, murderous, poor excuse for a human being. Yup, the coup is showing another losing hand out in the open. Like complete, incompetent idiots. Oh, it's coming. Soros, Turner, Sabin, Schwab, Clinton, Obama, media. Soros killed his own people and took down his own country of Hungary for personal gain. This is all right. Desensitized evil. I'm going to skim some of this. It's a very long comment. Facts. President Trump is spot on. Hillary is the most evil of all time. A lifetime embittered failure. No money. Should go to Ukraine. Soros had 3 open society satellite offices there. Yeah, and bio warfare labs. Every criminal entity money laundered through Ukraine. Yes, you mentioned biolabs here. The US coup started this. Everything is not as it seems. Biden crime family is just regurgitating coup white elephant grift, the diversion. Yup, in the meantime we have coup globally. Soros, Hillary, Schwab, Sabin coup by Gaylord Obama, previous speaker mafia brat Pelosi, Susan Rice, Gates, Big Pharma, Fauci, Big Tech, Clinton, FBI, CIA, Obama. Time for Nuremberg 2.0, global crimes against humanity, revoke Soros and Sabin US citizenships. And there's a link here, right? Murders and genocide, sick people. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree, Mr. Yeah, funny because there's this thing in the way. I can't bloody see his name. He or her. I can't see that bloody name. Oh, I can't see the name. But somebody's put a post on this video called US Presidential Election 2016 on Rumble. If you want to go and see that, you can. Okay, that's Rumble done with. I'm now going to do a quick YouTube update to see if there's any new comments there. Okay, so let's have a look in my notifications. Alright, let's go back a little bit. Right, there's only one. It is from someone called Mark Tilling. Oh, Mark Tilling, hi. Hi, Ben. Have you watched God Told Me To? It's on Amazon. Would like to hear your take on this film. Alright, is that something to do with George? Is that something to do with George? Let's have a look. God Told Me To. That's not about serial killers, is it? Oh, right. It's a 1976 science fiction horror film, directed and produced by Larry Cohen. Oh, I like Cohen. He's good. All right. It incorporates aspects of the police procedural. Right. All right, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I like Larry Cohen did this thing called. Larry Cohen did an excellent film called 10-Minute Warning, which is really brilliant. It's got Jack Klugman. It's got Roy Scheider. It's fantastic sort of thriller. Yeah, I'll check that out. Anyway, that's the end. That's it. Just over 3 hours. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has posted comments. It's been great. It's been really, really good. And there's been some funny ones, good ones, nice ones, rude ones. But even some of the rude ones have been amusing, so I appreciate that. So obviously, for obvious reasons, if it wasn't for your comments, this video wouldn't exist, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So, right, the next video. Well, there's not going to be one for quite a while, at least probably about a week. The reason is I'm going to Truth Seekers Northeast, but there will be a reportage. I'm doing a reportage of that for you. So that will probably be the first video you see when I come back, which is I'm coming back on. I'll be back late on Sunday night. So obviously that there's going to be there won't be any more videos now for about a week. But I hope you can always re-watch the old ones. Anyway, this is the 69th comments reply video out the way. The next one is the 70th. Blimey. Thank you all for watching. By the way, like I said, a lot of my back catalogue is on Rumble now. If you want to go and check it out there, I've only got a few left to do actually from 2019, and then my Rumble catalogue is complete. So check those out. Thank you all for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.